Texas
way
thing have
help
anything
me.
to do with why Melina was upset during the Dr. K discussion? Probably. A lot of our interactions with third
Hey
parties...
Destiny, I know you're going through a really hard time, right? I just want you to know that I am here for you and I love you.
Thanks, buddy. I love you too.
Are you going go back on Train's podcast?
Yeah, probably in the future, I guess. Chundle, thanks, buddy, for your heartfelt donation. I love you, buddy. Oh, why Melina's upset. Hold on. The Dr. K Melina thing. So I, over the 31 years of my life, I forged out a relatively low view of people. So intrinsically, I typically don't trust anybody. I expect that most people at any given point in time is probably going to try to fuck me over. And I'm pretty aware of all of that. Like, I go to decent lengths to like make sure that like my shit is like relatively in order. And I'm pretty paranoid about most of my interactions with people. It might seem that way. It might not be. Yeah, what was I talking about? Oh, that's just what I assume. Generally, most people usually take advantage of, like, I think if I try to be nice to somebody, almost every single time it gets, oh, the Denim's recording. I actually sent that Denim's recording. Oh, that's like a good example, actually. I sent that Denim's recording to a few people, but what I did was I loaded that recording into Audacity and I cut off like 1 to 7 seconds from every single recording, so that when I sent it to somebody, I wrote down in a notepad like what length of the recording I sent to each person, so that I knew that if it ever got leaked, I could figure out like who in my friends is ever leaking shit. That's like an example of like shit that I do because I don't really trust people that I interact with. I still have that notepad on my desk saved, so if you ever leak that recording, I'm gonna know it was you. The thing about like Melina though is that Melina is like 21, and Melina is super like trustworthy of like most people. Like Melina has very high views of people. So when we, can't they edit the recordings I have now? They could. There's a lot of things you can do to recordings to see like who has what particular thing though. That's just like one of like 50 million different things you could do. So Melina's problem is that when I interact with people, when the relationships get, I don't care. Like all of it rolls off my back. Like me and Melina have been with probably a decent number of people by now that have burned us pretty fucking hard. So like our Arianina like encounter, the last thing in Vancouver was fucking horrible. The falling out that we had with Sushia was like pretty horrible. The Denims and Iman arc was like pretty horrible. But for me, like, I don't care. Like at the end of the day, like I expect everybody to be insane and to go crazy and to whatever. I don't really give a fuck. But for Melina, it has like a really big negative impact on her because now like Melina, oh, Caterino, yeah. Although we didn't ever have a sexual relationship with her. By now, like, everything that, like now Melina has problems though when she talks to people, when she deals with people, because she doesn't know if those people are just using her to get to me. So for instance, it's possible that there have been girls in the past that we've like been involved with sexually or non-sexually that have pretended to be close to Melina because they just wanted to get closer to me. And then it's possible that some people are just like really fucked and will like try to fuck us over. And that has a really negative impact on Melina. So that's something that, yeah, that's like a big problem that Melina's had in all of our like 3 related shit. Whereas for me, like I'm older, I don't give a fuck about most people. I'm whatever, I don't care. That's the Melina Dr. K related shit. What happened to the Caterina bridge? Oh, nothing. Caterina didn't necessarily do anything horrible to me. I kind of wonder sometimes if I was a stepping stone to like other big streamers. She just lied to me and Melina about everything she was doing, which is kind of weird, but whatever. Is it an age thing or a personality thing? I used to think it was an age thing, but I don't think it was. I used to think that, and it actually really bothered Melina for a while because she's like, oh, well, I'm literally 20 when we started dating, which is really fucking young for anybody I've interacted with. And I told her that a lot in the beginning. I was like, listen, man, like, you're young as fuck. Like, I don't know if you're fucking crazy or not. You might be. But, like, we've interacted now with so many people, some of who are, like, well into their 20s that are also fucking crazy, or some people that I've interacted with that are, like, you know, 31, 33, that are become fucking crazy. And now I wonder a lot. Now I wonder a lot if just like it has nothing to do with age or whatever. This has to be with your clout and influence. There's no way this is a normal thing. Maybe. Even girls that I meet off of Tinder, though, like, end up having, like, these... I don't know, dude. The humans are fucking crazy, dude. And there's, like, so much shit that I've learned over the past few years. Like, I remember there was a girl that I was super close with that I met off of Tinder. This girl was so cool. This chick fucking drove cookies to my house or to my apartment that she baked once. She left for me at the front desk. Fucking awesome chick, okay? We got along super well. We had, like, explicit conversations about, like, hey, like, you're cool with us being just sexual. We're like, everything is fine. We're chill. Like, and she's like, oh yeah, like I'm happy with this, blah, blah, blah. Like, this is cool. Was this the movie girl chick? Yeah. She was super, she was like one of the only friends that I'd made in LA that was like outside of the streaming shit. And I love non-streamer friends. Jesus fuck. I love out of industry people. And she ended up like losing her fucking mind when I started dating Melina because she lied to me the entire. She had a massive fucking crush on me, and I guess I was just too naive to think like, oh well, maybe she is cool with our arrangement. She wasn't at all. When Melina showed up, she fucking went crazy and fucking hated me and blocked both of us on social media. I was like, oh okay, well, how did you meet? Oh, that was literally just a girl I met on Tinder. Check Sushi has chat logs here. Why? Do you make many friends anymore? Not really, no. I don't think so. Why do you like non-streamer people more? I just like getting to meet people like on my own terms. Like it's really weird when you meet. This sounds so like I feel like I'm Kanye West rapping right now or Eminem or whatever. But it feels really weird when you meet somebody and they know every single thing about you. And they already know like all of your like, oh, I saw all your YouTube videos, I blah 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 blah. Like, to be fair, like it's not like bad. Like I meet a lot of people that are streamer people or that know a lot of me. That's like that's still cool. It's still fun meeting. I don't mean to say I hate these people, but like every now and then it's cool to just like meet somebody who has no idea like who I am or what I do or any of this shit. Like I think that's nice. Why don't you have an issue with Peach at all? Or you don't have? No, Peach is actually super cool. Peach is one of the only people that I've met that we've gone for more than a couple months for that we have like no issues with. I have to reflect a lot. That's another thing that's fucked Melina up too, is because we have to go back and we have to analyze a lot of our three people relationships. I say relationships, not really, they're a type of relationship, but not like romantic. But like, well, she has to look back because Melina's like, I don't understand how like all of these things have gotten so fucking crazy. And for like, it seems like we're not doing anything horrible. And like, that's a hard one because we've been involved in a lot of three related stuff that has just gone fucking crazy for no fucking reason. Like the Ari and Nina shit. When me, Melina, and Nina were in like Reno, that was a really awesome experience. Nina is like kind of a particular person, but like I like strong personalities. I like people like that, even if she is a bit of a cunt. I like that. I like women that like other people. Like that's a total fucking bitch. I love that shit. Because I like people that have strong personalities. But like we spent like 3 or 4 days together in this like hotel, and it was super awesome. Went to a big massage parlor. We walked outside. We went swimming and shit. Like we had all sorts of fun. Yeah. And then in Vancouver, like everything got so crazy. It's like, what the fuck is happening? And it seems like we have like so many of those interactions with people. And this is one of the reasons why I say like, I don't care about like, I don't care what people say. Like all I care about at the end of the day is how you act because people say so much and I have to interact with people for some time before I finally like understand like, okay, like this is the type of person you are. And like now I see it because I can't listen to anything you tell me. I have to see how you act in situations. Did Ari and Nina ever get around to paying Melina for that stream that they did together? Yeah. I'm technically not supposed to talk about this because they quote unquote made me sign not a DNR, an NDA about it, but I don't give a fuck because it's totally unenforceable. But she basically said like, oh, like I'll pay Melina, but you have to promise to never ever say my name on stream again. I was like, okay, sure, whatever. I'll sign your shit, pay her. The lawyer that she had draft up the lawyer that she got to draft up the I keep wanting to say DNR. The NDA was actually her dad, who's not a lawyer. I don't know if she knew that I forgot or she thought I forgot her name or whatever, but like it was just dumb. But whatever, yeah, Melina got paid. Yeah, everybody in chat said that I was being stupid when I assumed that Melina would get paid. But the reason why I knew Melina would always get paid is because like I know like pretty life-destroying information about her that if I were to leak to the right people would literally be the end of her life. That's when it like, and I know everyone in chat, like I couldn't really say it at the time, but it was pretty frustrating that people in chat just assumed that I thought that she would pay up for Melina. But like I have like there's no way. Like, I know for a fact that she was going to pay Melina. That was never not going to happen. Like, because of the things that I know about her, which was really irritating to deal with for chat. But, yeah. This is super old. 2017, 2018 memes. Whatever happened to that one chick who was a poll icon and tried to sue you because she said she chat docs for university? Oh, nothing happened with her. I thought I tried to sue her. There was some law firm that I went through because I wanted to sue her. I just wanted to destroy her life. I never thought I would actually win the case. But the people that I was talking to were very much on a different page than me. And it got like really uncomfortable having those conversations because like, I even shipped him like a $10,000 retainer. I was like, listen, like, I want to take this girl to court for defamation. And they were like, okay, well, like, we're trying to think about this, sir. So we looked into this girl a lot. She seems like she has like a lot of mental problems. This is probably going to be like a pretty bad look for you. And I was like, yeah, I know. I'm cool with that. I legitimately like want her to not be able to pay the court costs and for her life to be ruined. And they were like, okay, well, so we think that it wouldn't really look too good. And like, I kind of got the vibe that that wasn't what they were all about. So I was like, okay, well, after like 3 months of back and forth, I was basically like, okay, well, give me my retainer back. I guess we're done. Thanks for your services or whatever. That guy, the owner of that law firm, actually emailed me, I think a year and a half ago, in response to something I said online. He was like, oh, we worked with you a little bit in the past. If you ever need help, let us know. I did something online that was really big like a year and a half ago that I guess a lot of people looked at and he thought it was cool. I don't remember what it was about though, but what did that poll girl say that made you want to sue her? Oh, she said that I was giving out her phone number and spam calling her. And she posted 4 phone numbers that had called her. They were telemarketers. I called every one. Like 2 didn't go to a number, 2 were telemarketers or some shit. She was like, I don't think you could ever prove defamation because I'm a public figure, but I could destroy her life, like financially at least. But I'm guessing that like most lawyers probably aren't cool with that because it's like pretty fucked up, which it is fucked up. But like, man, at this point, does that really bring you any satisfaction to like ruin somebody's life? It seems pretty petty. Well, in my position, it's all you got, my dude. I guess. Don't you technically select for crazies because of your lifestyle? That's possible. Maybe I do. Yeah, it's totally possible. What do you think are some of the common poor character traits between those people that broke up those past relationships? Like the people that me and Melina have been with threes with, and if I don't know, it's entirely possible that like personally, I'm drawn towards really eccentric people. Like I really like people that aren't completely within the normal mold. People have memed at me for comments that I've made online about it, but I legitimately, this sounds like so pretentious, and I understand that, but like I'm talking to 6,000 people. I'm probably relatively unique. Okay, there's got to be something right. I can't talk to like super normie people. Like, oh yeah, bro. Like every Friday I go to like the bar, and then on Saturday I watch like reality TV with my friends, and then like yeah, bro, and then like that's what I do for my whole life, and that's everything. And it's like that's cool if you do that. That's fine. But like those kinds of people, I can't. I just like I get so bored. Whereas if you get some girl that tells me like, oh yeah, like I used to sacrifice cats when I was a kid, and like every Friday and Saturday I go down to this forest and I just close my eyes and pray to Satan or some shit, like you're fucking crazy, but that's so much more interesting to me. That's some crazy fucking shit. And I want to go with you on Saturday to see like what fucking demonic goddess you fucking pray to. I'm just fucking interested. It's probably not a good personality trait, but it's just for whatever reason, like I'm way more drawn to that kind of stuff. It's so much more like I like to talk to people who I feel like my mind doesn't encompass every fucking thought they could possibly have. And it's actually, but one of the goals that I've explicitly made this year, because last year I was talking to so many different people, so many girls, so many guys, were like whatever. And this year I've made a conscious effort where it's like, I'm going to talk to way fewer people, but I'm going to try to focus more on like a few people, rather than like talking to so many people. These are super first world problems. Most of you guys are antisocial as fuck and probably can't relate as much. I'm not trying to make it sound that way. I'm sorry. But most of my like emotional, like detachment issues or whatever are probably, relatively, insular or unique to me. I don't mean to Technically, anytime I talk about any of this, it always sounds like humble brags. So this girl that me and Melina were fucking at the same time, like, was so, like, she did this weird shit. Like, it's not, like, all of it sucks because all of it sounds like humble brags. I don't necessarily mean it to be that way. But technically, sometimes even acknowledging that something is a humble brag is in and of itself a humble brag, because it's like, you know that that's something that you want to brag about, but you don't want to sound like a douchebag bragging about it. But what you could do is you could brag about it, and then you could say sorry for it being a humble brag. So the humble brag was actually saying something that you knew you would have to call out as a humble brag, right? It's like 2 layers of fucking irony. Like, it's one of those things. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I can never tell like what's real in terms of human interaction anymore. Actually, a lot of people will ask me that, where a lot of people ask me questions like, how do I know that you're not just going to fuck with me, Steven/Destiny? Like, how do I know? It's like, well, I don't know. But like, if you were to figure that out, I would never tell you, right? I always get confused. People ask me questions like that, like, oh, how do I know you're not going to try to fuck me over? Whatever. It's like, well, if I was, I wouldn't tell you. So why are you asking me this question, right? If I was going to fuck you over, asking me this question is a perfect opportunity for me to spin a tale about why I would never do it. This could be one of them right now. Me acknowledging that I could be lying to you could be an attempt to lie to you, and you wouldn't even know it. Like, why are you asking me this? Like, yeah, I don't know. All those interactions, like, they're probably just looking for reassurance and feeling insecure. Yeah, I can't deal with that at all, though. People always say that. They say that, and I try to understand that, but I don't. I don't know. It doesn't work that way for me, and I have a hard time understanding why somebody else gets reassured by somebody saying something to them. It's really hard for me to get. I don't empathetically feel that at all. I have to like very much like cognitively think that out. Like, oh, well, if I say some words to this person, they're going to feel more reassured, I guess. But like, it sounds like it's a really weird way that people work, I think. Have you told the Bella story? I've told as much of the Bella story as I'm ever going to tell. I think with Bella, like, I got like super obsessed with Bella for a little bit, which I think a lot of people do, but I was like super, super into her. She didn't want to commit to a relationship, and then I felt like really burned by a few of those interactions. More or less, that's what happened or whatever. Affirmation therapy is a real thing. Yeah, I'm sorry. I give this caveat like a million times when I talk to people. Everything that I say, even though it feels like a lot of these things are loaded, I'm not judging any of these things. Some people need words of affirmation. I'm not. I don't like getting them. It feels awkward to me. Like when people are like, oh, you're so handsome or whatever. It's like, okay. Like, yeah, I mean, I figure like you probably don't think I'm hideous. Otherwise, why would you be here? And I have hard times like giving compliments. It's really hard. Like the first time like a girl like fucking sends me nice pictures, or like, yeah, damn, you got a really nice ass. But like to continually compliment a person like after that, it's really fucking hard for me to do. It feels like I have to remember to do it. Like, okay, I need to say these compliments to these people. At one point I had like a spreadsheet where it's like there are these 4 people that I know and I need to say these compliments to them every day. But I stopped that because it was too much to keep track of. Because it feels like that's like people do that to each other where they like, oh, like you have to say like, oh, you like you, or you're pretty, or check up on whatever. I can't do that. Like for me, like the way that I view it is like, yeah, this might be actual autism. I'm sorry. We're going full mask off. Like the way that I see how other people feel about me and the way that I try to demonstrate. So if you ever want to know if I'm super crushing over a person or if I'm in love with somebody, it's you measure it in how much time I'm willing to spend with somebody. That's number one. If you want to know how I feel about you, like if I've ever had a conversation with you off stream, or if I've ever hung out with you in real life, or like if I'm willing to dedicate like some number of hours like playing games with you, doing stuff or whatever, like those are like important measures that I have in terms of how I feel about a person. That's the number one way that I measure it. In terms of like telling somebody like, oh, I love you, you're so pretty, blah, 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 like I don't care about any of that shit. I don't care if someone says it to me. I'll say whatever. I don't give a fuck. But you measure it in terms of like how much time am I willing to spend on you. That's how I usually measure it. And then for other people, I usually measure it in terms of like, will you ever go out of your way to do something for me that might even like take a little bit out of you, but would you actually like stick up for me in some particular case? Actually, ironically enough, okay, I'll leak a little bit of memes. I don't know if I said this on stream before. One of the only people in my life, super, 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 super rare, one of the only people I've met in my life that has done this for me was actually Melina. When we were at like a steakhouse thing, me and Melina and Sushia and a whole bunch of other people, I think Lycan might have even been there, everybody after this was going to a birthday party that was hosted by Novaru. And I found out through the grapevine that after initially being invited to this birthday party, that I got uninvited because that Aphrodite or whatever, that guy was going to be there, and Nova was worried that there'd be drama. And it's like, well, okay. Personally, I think that's kind of shitty. Like, I legitimately remember like sticking up for you on stream, and I kind of like burned some bridges almost with like the Mizkif house over how they treated you and shit. Not because I'm trying to simp or whatever, but like I genuinely did believe that was the right thing to do at the time. Damn, and I got disinvited from your birthday because you're worried about drama. Like, that seems like kind of a shitty thing. But like, whatever. Okay, I don't really care. But I remember that after the dinner, when we were trying to figure out like where to go, somebody suggested we could either go back to Reckful's place or we could go to that birthday party. But I couldn't go to that birthday party because I was disinvited, so I would go back to Reckful's alone, and then like Melina and Sushi and everybody else would go to the birthday party. And I remember that Melina actually said that she didn't want to go to the party because she thought that I got disinvited, and that was really rude. And that's one of the only times in my entire life, I think, where somebody else has actually like stood up for me or like done something nice for me in a way that's like that's like actually a nice thing to do. That actually is like I actually bumped her up like so many points because she did. I never ever would have expected. I expected that she would want to go to the party, and I wouldn't hold it against her. Like if she did, like it sounds like a fun time or whatever. I genuinely expected her to just go and whatever. I thought that was super nice. But it's super rare that anybody does that. And generally, usually if I extend an olive branch, usually if I try to like be helpful to somebody, usually I end up getting fucked for it. And it's actually really annoying. We'll burn a bridge tonight. This might be a burned bridge. I don't know if it will or won't be. It might be. One of the big fights that Melina and I say big fights. One of the problems that me and Melina had was that we didn't get to spend much time on our own before we left for Sweden. And then we got cut off from each other for like 3 months because of all this coronavirus shit. When I went to PAX East, I was having a private conversation with Emiya, and Emiya was like in a really bad state because she said that her boyfriend had like been crazy and there was like crazy shit going on. And I remember that I told Emiya, I was like, hey, like I think one of the best things to do if you're like having problems, like get out of the house, like go somewhere. And I invited Emiya to crash with me and Melina in PAX East. Now, regardless of whether or not you want to say whatever coomer shit, I've never had a sexual relationship with Emiya my entire life. Never, ever. And I don't plan it. I'm not like trying or whatever. There are girls that I do try with or whatever. And I'm open and honest with that. Never with Emiya. Not because I don't think she's attractive. She's hot as fuck or whatever. But that's just not the kind of like relationship we have. But I told Emiya, I was like, hey, like if you want, you can come and crash with me and Melina for the weekend. I'll get like a 2-bed fucking room. You can like go to PAX East, hang out with people, get your mind off shit. And I remember that I did that. I paid for the room and everything. And when I got there, my impression was that, so I'm giving up like a few days that me and Melina have to ourselves, and Melina later like got upset at me for. And when I got there, Emmy had already had her fucking boyfriend over at the hotel, and she did it for the entire weekend. Every time I went back to the hotel for something, when I went in, her and her boyfriend were in my fucking hotel room. And I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't sign up for this. Like, I literally went out of my way to like get you like out of Austin. You could come hang out with us for a weekend, or even go hang out with other friends. I don't care, but like just have a place to like stay or whatever. And like, fuck, why the fuck would you do this to me? Like for no reason. Like I'm getting like, oh God, I don't want to like burn every bridge, but I have had people always think that I'm like this really super evil fucking person, but I actually like, I think I'm really thoughtful to the majority of people in my life that I've had interactions with. Like I usually go out of my way to like try to be helpful or do things for people. And almost every single time I've gotten super fucked for it. Like I always say things like, I don't trust anybody or everybody's blah, blah, blah. But like pretty much like every time I've like tried to be like nice to people or try to do something, I usually always get like super fucked in the end for it. And it's like, okay, well... Yeah, it happened with Atlas and Denims too. Yeah, true. Hafu and Steel were two people that I've interacted with in my career that I think like genuinely reciprocated and helped me with stuff. I really appreciate that. I don't really interact with them anymore ever. But yeah, Hafu and Steel were two people. Didn't you try to fly to Florida to hang out with BadBunny? Oh yeah, when BadBunny had that bad interaction with that fan. Yeah, I messaged BadBunny and I told her I would either fly to Florida to hang out with her for a few days, or she could fly to, I think I was still in Nebraska at the time. She needed a place to stay, but she found another mod or some shit. I don't know. So. It's the circles that you run in, streamers, content creators, YouTubers, etc. This includes the people who orbit these kinds of people. Yeah, it might be people who orbit them too. That was one of the things. Oh, this fucking horrible bitch broke up with her boyfriend, so maybe they don't care as much, or maybe they do. I don't know. I don't care. When me, Sushi, and Melina were at Recfuls, I think I might have told this story already. Recfuls had a girl there who also lived there, who was fucking crazy. This girl, when me, Melina, and Sushia got back to the apartment one of the nights, she had taken every single thing out of the room and thrown it into the fucking hallway. And like we walked in and it was like, okay. And they started talking about like, oh, like, I don't know why you guys were sleeping in our room. They'd already said we could. Like, oh, we had to disinfect all of the fucking sheets because everything, there was like cum on everything. There were condoms all over the floor. It's like, firstly, I don't use condoms. Secondly, we didn't fuck or do anything in your bed at all. I think that's really weird and disrespectful. I don't do that. If I wanted to fuck somebody anywhere, I would go to a hotel. I don't need your fucking charity. Okay. I make plenty of money on my own to get a nice ass fucking suite. If I want to fuck some bitches in a hotel room, I don't need your shit ass fucking bed to do it in. Like, everything about that encounter was so fucking disgusting and so disrespectful. I'm like, are you fucking crazy? And this girl is like, the thing that I hate the most, that I hate myself for, is that when we first got there, Melina was so upset at this other girl, and she was like being a little bit rude towards her, and I was telling Melina to chill out because I hadn't seen yet that she'd thrown all of our shit into the hallway. It wasn't until later that when I walked in and I was like, wait, what the fuck? And then I realized why Melina was so fucking irritated at that other girl, because she'd thrown all of our shit on the floor. Like Sushi's laptop, like Melina's charger, her phone shit. Like, oh my God. Was she a Twitch streamer? No, she wasn't. And I had like we had a decent relationship with this girl. Like, I talked with her a lot, like the first day or two. Not sexual at all, but just like people we would talk to or whatever. Do you think Melina was a bitch towards Mooten on that one leak stream? Why do you think that was? No, I don't think Melina is ever trying to be mean towards people. A lot of people have trouble with the way that Arison has this problem too. V has this problem too. A lot of girls that I know have this problem where it's really, really hard to be a little bit mean as a girl and not come off as just a massive fucking cunt. It is so hard to do it. Almost every girl that I know that has a relatively strong personality, like, has problems with like, how can I be like a little bit edgy with my humor and not sound like a massive bitch cunt? It's so hard for girls to do it. Yeah, so like Melina tries it sometimes, but like it looked like, I mean, if you look at it, it looks like Melina literally just came in and started shitting on Mooten. But if you're not like part of our community, like if you look in from the outside, like, oh, I'm going to turn on this guy Destiny stream. Oh, he's queuing games with a guy called Mr. Mooten. Oh my God, he just made fun of him for feeding in his lane. He's watching clips of him all day of him feeding. He's coming into Discord to shout at him to stop watching videos on stream. He said he has a small dick and he wants to fuck dumpster truck. I don't know who that is. Like, and then Melina comes in and she's like, wow, Mooten, just curious, like, do you have an audience that's not Destiny's? Like, oh, that comment seems to fall in line with like everything else that's been said on stream. Like, it doesn't seem like that extreme that like when Melina says it. But like, obviously, like, because I have like a deeper relationship with Moot and all of us know what's going on, like we know like, well, what are the lines that we can or cannot cross, you know, in terms of like how we should insult each other. And Melina just didn't really know that was something that was like a really touchy topic. Mr. Mooten seemed really mad. Yeah, he probably wasn't really mad, but it was probably like really irritating to hear, especially from Melina, for a lot of contextual reasons. So I don't fault Mr. Mooten for getting mad, but I also don't fault Melina for saying something that was like kind of pointed in a bad way, because like she's just trying to like fit in with how we joke with each other, you know? I think it's because it's kind of opposed to the general view we get of Melina being all mystical and kind and nice. Well, it sucks that like people can't be insulting and be mystical and kind and nice at the same time. Like, I am fairly confident that if you ask any person I've ever hung out with in my entire life, they'll tell you that I am literally, and I know it sounds like I'm jerking myself off, and it's something saying, but I'm one of like the most thoughtful, considerate people you will ever spend time with ever. Like, ever. Like, legitimately am. But if you listen to me online, people are like, no way, like, this guy insults people all the time. He's a horrible fucking piece of shit, blah, 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 blah. But it's like the same thing with, like, other people I know too. Like, Melina can be, like, a nice and kind and whatever person, but maybe she wants to come on and, like, insult people as, like, because she sees everybody else doing it and kind of wants to fit in. So it's a really hard position to walk, I guess. Do you have any hope left for future relationships? Maybe. I don't know. I keep saying that if this one doesn't work out, I'm going to be single forever. I said it after Eris. I'm saying it after Melina. Like, if me and Melina break up, I don't think I'll ever find somebody that can handle me. Because I'm a very particular, obnoxious type of fucking person. And I understand that. I totally get that 100%. I'm very difficult to deal with. I mean, I'm not necessarily against that, but random question: do you think Hassan was generally a good dude overall? And you like, I don't like to. I don't want to like. I feel like every stream, like, I don't want it to like all become about Hassan. It's really weird. I don't think Hassan is like a horrible person or anything. Man, I could probably say a lot of nice things. You asked me on MDMA. We should do an MDMA stream sometime. No, I would say too much nice stuff about everybody. I want to do that. I just think Hassan has like a certain audience. He knows he gets it by playing up a certain image. I don't know if he actually believes or cares about any of the shit he talks about, but I don't think he's like an evil, horrible person. Do you have any non-streamer male stories? These seem to all be about women because I love women, okay? Because I'm a fucking coomer at the end of the day. I can't help it. But the two friends, like Mr. Moon and Dan, have been pretty chill. One of the things that I like the most about how I've gone about streaming is I feel like I really like my community. Like at the end of the day, whereas most streamers are all talking to each other, I can go in and talk to my community. I really like that. I didn't like it once everything in chat started to get clipped and sent to LSF. That was really shit. But yeah. Has Dan ever fucked you over? I don't think Dan or Mr. Moon have ever fucked me over before. I don't think they would. I would hope not. Man, that would be so sad. That would be a really sad day if that were to ever happen. The only time Dan has ever fucked me over is when he sits inside our fucking Rust base and doesn't mind for mats at all. Just sits there all day and is lazy. But that was a long time ago. We've put that behind us. Or when Mooten ints in my league games and he loses his mental top. Are your bridges with Pokemon fine now? Yeah, I think so. I mean, like, I complimented her on her voting thing. And she seemed to be reciprocal. It's hard to tell. Like this is something that like a lot of people that deal with me on a personal basis, I project a lot. I always say that other people project and it surprises me, but I actually project a lot too. I think everybody projects. My negative moods last me 6 hours, 12 hours tops. If I have a relationship problem, if somebody did something that pissed me off, if we got into a fight, 99% of the time, what needs to happen is like, I just need you to leave me the fuck alone for 12 hours. And then when I see you next, I'll hug you. I'll love you. It'll be cuddly. It'll be cool. We're fine. Okay. Some people are very, very much not like that. Where they hold grudges with them for a long time. And I think that's most people. So like if me and Melina have an issue, Melina is very much a solve it or let it fester person. So like I'll be like, just fuck off for 12 hours and I'll be good. And then when I come back at the end of the 12 hours, I'm perfectly fine and she'll be in the worst state possible because she thinks that I've been like contemplating like I'm breaking up with you and I'm done like over that 12 hours. When in reality, I didn't really care that much. Whereas like Melina is like super dwelling and ruminating on it the entire time. Or like I've noticed that like a lot of people are like that sometimes where, yeah. Now, this isn't like, I have to give this, I hate that I have to give this caveat everything. I'm not saying that how I do things is right or how other people do things is wrong or there's good or bad, but I'm just saying this is how I process things. Other people do things this way. Like, yeah, this is just how some people are. Did you have a falling out with Devin? No, I don't think so. We just don't interact as much anymore. Do you think sometimes you get burnt because you insist on judging people for yourself and not listen to reputations? Like Emiya, Sushia, Ari, Nina were pretty known pieces of shit already, but you somewhat defended them until they burnt you personally. I like to give everybody a chance. I see so much stuff that's posted about me on the internet that is so far removed from reality. I don't like to judge other people based on what I've seen posted on the internet about them. And usually when I meet that person, even if I don't like them for some reason, it's usually for a better reason than what's being posted online. Usually there's like a reason. So for instance, for like Emiya, I don't think at all. I would be confident when I say this. I don't think Emiya is like a racist, hateful person at all. I think that she's like got some weird mental shit going on. But like when people post shit that like she's like a secret alt-right, I don't think that's true at all. I don't think that's remotely fucking true. So like I might have like falling outs with people, but it's not usually for the same reason that people publicly hate them. And yeah, I don't know. Why do you have so much trouble cooking chicken breasts? Listen, I cook them flawlessly now. We'll do another cooking stream. There's shit that I needed to learn about. Here's what I learned. You want to know what the thing is? Here's a life tip for you guys, okay? I didn't know this because every house I've had before this, and even my other apartment has a flame stove. And this stove is it's an electric top. Now people always say like, oh, electric is worse, but well, I mean, it's all heat, right? So here's what I found out about electric stoves that I didn't know before, okay? If this is our on button, okay, or this is like off up here, and if this is high and this is like medium, okay, electric stoves are just like showers, okay? What that means is that everything past here is scalding fucking hot, and you will literally fucking burn your oil in your pan. And everything down here is like your eggs aren't cooking. This is, I don't know why I didn't think this was true, but like, cause I looked this up online later. Cause I've tried to like fry a variety of things on my stovetop now, right? I can't cook eggs on medium, or I can, but they'll sit there fucking forever. They'll sit there forever to fry. It's insane. But remember with the grilled chicken I had, I was like, oh, okay, like I'm going to turn this up like pretty hot cause I need to get the pan hot. And I threw that on there and that thing like fucking flash burned. I was like, oh shit, like I can't, right? But there's this sweet spot on my stovetop where it's like, it's not quite up here, but it's like around here where I cook it, and it cooks like pretty well. It's not super cold, but it's also not like insanely incinerating the fuck out of it. And because I started to look at some online, because I don't know if it's a shitty stove or if I'm a shitty cook or if I just didn't understand or something. But apparently a lot of people online have also complained that like for the coil electric stovetops, that once you turn them up to like very high, the heat gets like fucking out of control, and that's like a pretty common complaint. So yeah, I guess this is, so yeah, this is the chicken fan. We'll do another cooking stream or whatever. Fuck it. Would you actually hate someone for only being racist? I mean, it super depends on how their racism is, I guess. If it's like somebody that I queue like online games with and we never talk about politics ever or whatever, then nice one, Kodali, Joe Mama. Then maybe I would even never come up. But I mean, it depends on the extent of our relationship. Do you feel like Mr. Moon is a perverse incentive to not burn your bridge because of the fan base crossover? Yeah, I mean, it's possible, but I would hope that at this point he's comfortable talking to me about issues he has. But please admit at least that cutting the pieces up first is preferred for stir fry. Your technique would be fine for a pan-seared chicken breast. I don't know. I mean, the last ones that I fried, I think I fried 3 last time, and they all fried perfectly fine, like on a lower heat setting, and then also with a lid for my pan. Like they cooked all the way through and they were perfect. They were like golden brown on both sides, but it was just using like a much lower heat setting with a lid on the pan. It seemed to work like way better. Like I didn't have to cut it up at all first, but I don't know. Do you miss the worldview you had at a younger age / compared to the older or the colder opinions that you have now? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Twitch streams are getting DMCA strikes now. Jagabeg, the Caliph, who's in here with DMCA for clips in 2019 or earlier. For 50 Cent, Ariana Grande, Cake by the Ocean. Damn. Bonus tip that I used to... Oh, I don't care about cooking chicken anymore. Do you still take the ice, Paul? Not at all anymore. I just haven't seen him. I mean, I imagine we could talk if one of us messaged each other, but I don't have any, I just don't have a connection to him. Now that Lily's out of D&D, are you going to have more court-mandated playdates with her? Maybe, I don't know. She seems like she's really into Valorant, and like her, she's got like her little group of friends right now, so... Wow, official name is a tier 4 sub. Pound the breasts out next time, buddy. Fuck that shit. I don't have time. Some people will get like rollers to like flatten the chicken breast. I ain't got time to do that shit. Okay, fuck that. Do you care about people saying sorry about things they did to you? No, I don't actually care about apologies at all. I never have and never will. Like, if somebody does a wrong to me when they're in a perfectly sober state of mind, I figure they knew it was wrong at the time, but it was just a calculation on their part that they could do it, apologize for it later, and it'd be okay. So I don't really care about apologies. Just don't do it again. Is usually what I care. What are the axioms of your moral framework, and do you think it would ever be convinced out of them? We'll do meta ethics later, my dude. Would you give BadBunny a second or third chance? I've thought about it, but unfortunately, there are some people whose interactions I've had with them have made it almost impossible for me to like ever have another interaction with them again and not know if they're only doing it because they're trying to get like some level of popularity out of me. I had like the I have like a little receipt sheet that I keep now so that when people try to gaslight me about like what people have said, that I like have a record of this. So like for BadBunny, like I have like a pretty big rap sheet of like pretty fucked up shit she said about me. Like Destiny's a clout chaser, says I'm a despicable person. Like she said like, so like with this much shit, like it's kind of hard to say. Sorry, I do like a lot of things. I'm sometimes a little bit autistic. I'm sorry. I know that like I joke about it sometimes, but like interacting with humans is really tough for me. You don't understand like how much of a concentrated, deliberate effort I have to make in order to like deal with the normal humans. It drives me fucking crazy. But with BadBunny, like that's somebody that like has said so many questionable things about me where it's like I don't know like if I could ever trust you coming to me again for an interaction. Like it feels like you'd only be doing it because you want like an audience at this point. Like that's difficult for me. Yeah, maybe it's not so much being autistic, but it's more just like in this line of work, like people will deny what they've said so often, and I feel like usually the mental characterizations I have of situations is usually pretty accurate. So when people tell me that didn't happen or happened a different way, or audiences start to tell me, sometimes even my own, I have to it's good to have like clips that I can watch to like evaluate like if I was being actually honest or not. Whatever happened to DMC Redgrave? Was it did he literally leave because of Atlas triggering him and Eve? I'm trying to remember if that was the final straw. I always liked him. I thought he was cool. I don't think that I personally ever had a big falling out with him. I think it was just over Eve shit. I think that we were moving all of our shit from different systems because our corporation was relocating, and as a result of that, we had to contract stuff to some friends that were running super carriers to get... No, not super carriers. No. Cargo... What did you call the cargo ships? What were they called? It wasn't super carriers. They were called something else. Where are my Eve bros at? Oh, jump freighters, JFs, yeah. We had friends contracting stuff to JFs. I think DMC, I want to say he had stuff that he needed jumped out of some system, and Atlas either said, like, you have to pay for it, or I'm not doing it because it's too far unless you pay for it. And DMC like told him to suck his dick and he would never pay money for him or some shit. And then like that was like he never got his stuff jumped to the other system, so he just quit playing. I think it was something like that. Who was your oldest friend and in real life friend? Maybe Kyle, although I don't interact. Oh, Kyle's in chat. Hi, Kyle. Kyle's definitely like my oldest friend from like school. Kyle and Chris are my two in real life friends growing up. They would have been my closest friends. And then from like the streaming world or who I've met past that's like still in my life, like really actively today, I'd probably say it was Eris in chat or whatever. It's for sure. Yeah. Oh, honestly, you didn't do yourself any favors by being a streamer when it comes to social interactions? Maybe, but I think in a lot of ways, I think like I can excel. Like it doesn't really like these types of, I have a lot of negative interactions with people and they usually don't like accumulate or weigh up on me like they do with other people. So that's like, I would consider like my lack of social interactions has been like a unique strength in this field, and that like I can burn through a lot of bridges or a lot of people or whatever. And I don't like have massive emotional breakdowns over it. I want to know what happened with the Joe story. Are you talking about something real? Are you talking about Joe Mama? Oh, never mind. I know the Joe story. Never mind. I know what you're talking about. Never mind. That's the one for the graves. Joe Mama. Good one, Kodali. That's a graveyard one, because I'm going to fuck your dead mom in a video game. Are you sort of glad you got some backlash from your community for faltering on your principles, or would you rather just follow... I don't even know at this point, to be honest, my dude. Do you ever feel guilty for using people or guilty for not having any guilt? So one of the things that I've said in the past, was this a couple years ago? I think I said that after my last relationship, before Melina, one of the things that I said was I'm going to try to be completely open and completely honest with every single person that I talk to from now on. Like, I am going to be super honest about how I process things, about how I feel about things. I'm not going to try to usually because I have a lot of underlying things, usually I can package these up and I can put them together in a more human way. And then when I present it to somebody, it comes off as being really sweet or really cute. I love spending time with you. It makes me feel so good to spend time with you. I'm so happy when I can see you, blah, blah, blah. That's a very human way to say things, right? But generally the way that I view it is I know that there is a certain set of things that I do that makes it so that you enjoy spending time with me. I do enjoy spending time with you. And as long as we both exhibit said behaviors, both of us feel better doing it. It's a really good interaction. I don't think that the way that I think about it is that far removed from how normal people process it. I just think that it's just another thing that I consider with all my relationships with people. Now, even though I say that, it's not like people have taken that, even in my personal life, some people take that as though I manipulate people or I'm trying to make people do things that they wouldn't otherwise do by lying. That's not true at all. I'm incredibly open and honest with almost every fucking person I talk to now. There were definitely some behaviors that I had maybe a year or two ago that were maybe a little bit I'm going too far in some ways, but for the most part, I'm usually really, really, really open and honest with people. But because I do that, then sometimes if I get into an argument with somebody, they'll throw at me. They're like, "Oh, this is what you mean when you say you're just transactional. You're just trying to use it." It's no, that's not at all what I meant. That's fuck. Why did? And then at some point, I'm like, fuck. Maybe I should just lie about a lot of these inner processes and go back to packaging them in a very human, palatable way so that it's feels good or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Do you feel like tripping has exacerbated these autistic tendencies you have? No, I don't think so. Not at all. Richard Lewis story went. I don't think there's anything else to tell about him. What advice do you have for someone like me who is well on his way to being very famous and wealthy? I don't know. Good luck, my dude. You can do it. Do you have any advice on not bringing in emotions when debating? I mean, there are just, I wish that there were I could say oh, you just have to have the God tier mindset. I bring emotions into debates sometimes and I might not realize it at the time. Usually the most important thing you can do is to evaluate your arguments after the fact. And I do this a lot. I do this so much because I'm really worried that one day I'll wake up and I'll be like, oh shit. I was so stupid in this argument. I was just really emotionally against, in all actuality, I think that the majority of Yasuo players in real life are really well socially adjusted and aren't incels at all. I just hate Yasuo players. It's not logical, right? Whereas I actually am very logical in my hatred for Yasuo and Zed mains. The two tricks that I know of, the quote unquote tricks that I know of, is that one is, you should always be able to argue the other side convincingly. You should know all of the arguments for the other side. And then two, you should be able to ask yourself, what would it take me to convince me out of this opinion or to make me change my mind on this? And if you can't do both of those things, if you can't do the former and answer the latter, then something is wrong. And you should be afraid of that. It should scare you a lot. So for the Tara Reid thing, I can understand the arguments that even a singular woman accusing Joe Biden should be taken seriously. To discredit her based on her character could discredit all rape victims, especially sex workers, based on their character. That there are arguments going on there. I don't think there are very many good ones left because of everything that's come out about her, but I can see it. And then in terms of what would it take you to convince Joe Biden is a rapist? If other credible people came out and were corroborating this story, or if a sexual harassment complaint were found, if other women came out and said that, well, actually, Joe Biden did molest me or rape me, then I would be okay, yeah, there should be something like that for everything that you believe, I think. Is there something to be said about the fact that a lot of political junkies strawman arguments making their own positions worse? I mean, it's just something that people do. With that being said, would you say prep for a debate is crucial? Like basically just doing due diligence of research? Yeah, I try to if I know a topic going into it, yeah. Are you and Fantano cool? I'm pretty sure Fantano hates me. Was there any drama with Luxxbunny, or did that just fizzle out over time? Nah, no drama there. Wait, why do you say that? Wait, guy who said that. Wait, why do you say that? You know who you are. Wait. Type the answer. You said something about it. Wait, did I? Wait, I don't remember if I actually talked about this before. Oh, shit. Oh, I didn't actually know. You said her boyfriend didn't like her hanging out with you, I thought. No, that was... Believe it or not, that's actually been multiple people. But that wasn't actually Luxxbunny. I don't want to say anything. I'm sorry, I shouldn't. Something about someone you used to talk to. Yeah, no, that was no. We're moving on from that. I'm sorry. How's the offline TV bridge standing? I think I'm in good regards to most of those people, I think. Would you ever do content cop style videos on people? No, I just don't really care that much. Do you think you could repair the bridge with Nick Fuentes? Your first original conversation was very friendly. The impossible bridge. Could I be friendly with Nick Fuentes? Almost for sure. The guy's probably desperate for some sort of like olive branch, but I would never. No, fuck that. What were the cool things that Hafu and Still did for you? I think both of them tried to get me involved in things that they were like being offered sponsors for. Most streamers are incredibly protective about like money related stuff, and they'll never ever give you a hand up unless they think they have something that they can get out of it. Most of them will fuck you out of money given the opportunity to. Hafu and Still are the only two people in my entire life that I think that have ever presented me with like, hey, like if you want to be involved in this sponsored project or whatever, you can make money for it or whatever. Did Recful fuck you over? The worst thing that Recful has ever done to me is like focus on like other people, or that's really weird to say. Recful has never intentionally fucked me over before. Never. I don't think. When Recful gets like really fixated on a person, he'll like tune other people out of his life sometimes, and there have been times where that's been a little bit weird, but Recful's never like fucked me over before. The worst thing's ever done is fucking with you while tripping alone on shrooms. No, that's, I mean, that's, yeah. Did you ever meet or interact with Hafu's boyfriend, Hotshot, or Hearthstone Dog or whatever? I don't know. Yeah, he seems like a cool guy. We haven't talked too much, but he seems fine. You stream a lot. When do you think about this stuff / do self-reflection? Usually when I drive. Usually driving is like the best time for me to think about things. I don't know why. I'm just in the zone. I got my music playing. I have like a singular task. Maybe because it's impossible for me to be distracted by something. It's really hard for me to concentrate in my house because I usually have my phone in front of me, or computers, social medias. I could be doing emails, Discord messages, Twitter, subreddit checking, or looking at other communities. A million things I could be doing at any point in time on my computer that I always am doing, actually. But when I'm driving, I can't really do those things, so I usually just think a lot. What's the worst instance of someone fucking you under instead of over? Good one. Is there a juice story around Bella? Everybody keeps asking about Bella. Not really. It's just it didn't work out because of commitment issues. There's nothing really to say. Glad you haven't succumbed to an echo chamber destiny. Well, we'll see how long that lasts. Do you ever think aloud when you're alone? No, I don't. Some people do though. My ex-wife does that a lot. I always thought that was really interesting. I could listen to her talk to herself in the bathroom and stuff. I thought that was really crazy. Not crazy, like it's interesting to me. Has doing MDMA changed your sober emotional state? Not really. I think I can remember what it feels like to be on MDMA sometimes, which is really nice. But I've tried harder over the past year to show people that are important to me that I think they're important to me. One of the most common complaints that I got in my life before this year is that people that are close to me, that I have a very high opinion of or high regard of, feel like I hate them. A lot of people actually feel that way. I notice that when I talk to either if I'm like meeting a new girl from Twitch or whatever, or if I'm like talking to another streamer, like usually the first people say, oh wow, like I thought you fucking hated me, or I thought that like you were like so mean, or that you blah blah blah. So that's like something I usually have to work. And then even people that I know for like a decent length of time are like, oh, like I thought you just didn't like me at all. And I was like, well, if that was true, like why would we spend all of our time doing this or that? Like, but that's just because that's how I usually show affection towards people. So if I'm willing to like dedicate any measure of time to them. Yeah. Do you think it's your ego that lets you burn bridges? I'm not like I mean, like when I'm in the heat of an argument, I think I'm like I can get egotistical. Maybe it's possible. Sure. I mean, I'm sure anybody can, but like outside of like actual arguments, like I think I'm like relatively grounded. Like I think I have a pretty realistic assessment of my strengths and weaknesses. I think I have a pretty realistic assessment of like where I stand on most things. Yeah, I don't know. Did you ever have a threesome with a male viewer and his girl? It was arranged on stream, and you even sent dick pics to compare. Oh, that one guy? No, we didn't. That fell apart. I've never had a male-female stream. Or, not stream. Male-female threesome before. Maybe someday. Honest to God, I'm sorry to say, but guys are creepy as fuck. They're so fucking horrible. Holy shit. Girls also might be creepy too. Maybe they just don't get socially enforced as much. But goddamn, dude. Dude, if you can just be like a decent fucking like human being male, you have like such a leg up on so many other people out there. But then again, girls also suck shit at like picking out like non-creepy guys, and then they complain about it afterwards. So it's hard to say what's creepy about them. I think that the biggest problem that a lot of guys have when it comes to girls is they treat sex is basically like a game, and there's like a competition to get to it, and the only thing in between you and the sex is the girl. So rather than like sex is like this collaborative, so like when I'm talking to somebody, right, sex is like a collaborative thing that I think both of us will enjoy, and both of us are like walking through the maze together to get there. Like that's the goal, right? Hopefully you enjoy your time with me enough, I enjoy my time with you, and then hopefully we like reach an area where you're comfortable enough, and then we share this experience together, and it's fun. That's how I view it. A lot of guys view it as like there are certain things I need to say, certain boundaries or buttons I can push, and certain things that I can do to make this girl get over herself so that I can fuck her. Like that's usually like, that feels like the thought process that a lot of guys have. And even in like my guy experiences and like any of my gay experiences or bi experience, I don't know what you call them, like most guys have been insanely fucking pushy, and it is fucking creepy as fuck and horrible. And I could totally see myself, like if I was a girl, like holy shit, like this would actually be scary. But as a guy, I usually just get really fucking irritated. But Destiny, girls don't even like sex. Yeah, I don't think that's true. Actually, here's my ultra ironic take. In my life, I'm being careful not to generalize, although I'm about to make a big generalization. Most of the girls or even guys that I've met in my real life that are hypersexual online are actually incredibly asexual in real life. And most of the quote-unquote non-sexual cute people or whatever that I meet online are usually the most sexual people in real life. Like that's for some reason that tends to be the case. Now that might not always be true, but that's like a pretty interesting observation that I've made. Yeah, which says a lot of weird things about how I view like a lot of like sex work or sex industry people now. I'm generalizing a lot. I don't like that. I don't want to say that like everybody that's in sex work hates sex or anything, blah 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 blah. I'm just saying that like for oh my god, dude. One thing that I hate about life is that like, oh god, Actually, there's a quote that I know, and I'm so scared that it's going to end up being true. I try not to avoid things for the sake of it, but it's the quote that, like, if you grow up, as long as you're not, I don't know the exact quote, but it's like, anybody that's not a liberal growing up is heartless, and anybody that's not a conservative in their older years is an idiot. It's something like that. I hope that's not true, because I still very much consider myself a lefty, liberal, progressive, hardcore. I hope that doesn't turn out to be true. But there's one super stupid meme quote that I heard when I was young, and I'm like, this quote is so fucking stupid. And then, like, in my middle age, or no, when I'm young, it was like, oh, this quote is so true because it's so based. And then when I grow up, I'm like, okay, this quote is so stupid. This is not true. And now that I'm older, I don't know. And it's the quote that everything is about sex except sex. Sex is about power. And I don't actually know anymore. I don't know. I'm not sure. I kind of wonder. Because, like, I genuinely really like sex. I really enjoy it. I super enjoy it. And there are a few people that I really enjoy it with. And I like having new sexual experiences because I might find new stuff. And that's it. Like, for me, like, that's just it. Like, it's like, that's it. I like the experience. And a lot of people will say the exact same thing that I just said. They'll say, oh, yeah, I love sex. But they don't. They actually, like, they like the idea of fucking a lot of people. They like the idea that they were able to fuck somebody. Like, it was like a conquest. Like, I fucked that bitch. Hell yeah, I fucked her. I'm so happy. Or they like the idea that they can tell people, like, oh, yeah, my body count, you know, a little north of 250 maybe. You know, what am I going to say? Or, like, I fucked 7 girls. Like, that's, like, it actually is. That's been, like, really, really weird to me, discovering that. Because I always assumed, this is another projection thing, I always assumed, like, a lot of people were just, like, ultra sexual people, or like everybody's like, but yeah, I don't know. And I wonder about that quote, like, everything is about sex except sex is about power. I don't know. It seems like really dumb, but it's true. Men never brag about sex actually feeling nice to them. It's just ego boosting how hot that okay. I might drop, this might be the least true take in the world, okay? But, like, if me and Melina are talking about, like, sex, if she asked me, like, oh, like, did you see that one girl that night? Or, like, yeah. And she's like, oh, like, how was it? My response is always going to be, like, oh, like, we did this or that, and I really liked this or that. Like, that's generally our conversations. Or if I ask her, like, oh, like, you slept with that guy or whatever last night, like, what did you like? What did he do? What was cool? You know, what do you think I can do? Like, usually it's like, oh, I like this or that or that. A lot of people, when you ask them, like, how was that sexual experience? Or how was that sex? How did you feel about that? Usually the first response is, oh my God, dude, this sex was awesome. She's so fucking hot. And I'm like, when that's, like, usually the go-to, it makes me wonder, like, I don't even know why the fuck you pursued that experience. Or I don't know, like, what you got out of it. It feels like what you got out of it is, like, way different than what I normally get out of, like, a sexual experience. Now, the 50th caveat that I'll give again, not to say that that's good or bad, or there are bad approaches to it or whatever. Like, that's just, like, the general, yeah, it's just like a weird feeling I get. Why do you think climate change is generally not an important issue to even Democrats? Because it's a long-reaching issue that it takes a multidimensional approach, and the effects aren't felt immediately, so it's really hard. Aren't you afraid of STDs when hooking up? I used to be, but not really anymore. Most of them, like, aren't a big deal. Like, chlamydia and gonorrhea, you go to the hospital. If you have it, you get a shot. It's gone in a week. It's fuck it. HIV is not, like, a real thing in the Western world, unless you're, like, very, very, very unlucky. I don't know. I just don't really care that much. I mean, like, I get tested pretty normally, and usually the people I am with, I hope, get tested pretty normally. But I mean, yeah. A lot of men do that, but a lot of women make sex A game / reward? That's true, yeah. So everything about sex is so shitty, dude. I hate the way that society views it. It's so annoying. And both sides fuck it up so hard. And everybody plays counter to their interests. I get more mad at men for it because I think men are generally in the dominant position when it comes to sex right now. So if they would just fix their behavior, I think a lot of women would fix theirs as well. But like both sides perpetuate it super hard right now. And it's just really fucking annoying. Like I've legitimately been with girls before who like, I'll kind of like mess around a little bit while we're in bed and like they're like not really doing it. They're not like into it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's cool. I go to sleep. And like legitimately like the next day, like they'll tell me like that Louis C.K. skit. They'll be like, dude, like why didn't we fuck last night? I'm like, I don't know. You seem like not into it. And they're like, oh yeah, come on, man. Like if you would have went like a little bit more, like I would have like, yeah. And it's like, the fuck? Like the meme, like I'm just supposed to rape you on the off chance that like that's what you want. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of like gamified shit for that. Or like I've unironically, like I know girls that are like, I don't care if somebody doesn't text me back immediately. I'm bad about that too. So like it's not, there are people that I know that I have active relationships with who like if I send them a message, they might not respond until the next day or whatever, which is fine. But I know people who consistently will like take a long time to respond, and I find out why. Like, oh yeah, like I don't respond to any text for at least 6 hours because I don't want to come off as like clingy. I'm like, what? That makes you seem even more clingy. What the fuck? I don't know. What's your take on how tech has affected in real life relationships? I feel like things have become a bit toxic at times. Yeah, I don't know how we ever lived. Honest to God, I don't know how we ever lived in the past without it. Like back in my days, you would go like a whole day basically without talking to your girlfriend. But nowadays you have to be like in constant fucking contact. You have to be in super constant contact or people will lose their minds. The idea of like leaving girlfriends on read or boyfriends, I guess, on read for like a day is like unconscionable. That's like unbelievable. If you do that, you're fucked. Whereas like back in my day, like texting sucked. I mean, people texted, but like it was more like a, oh, cool, this person texts rather than like this is a requirement of having a functional relationship. You know? What's your type when it comes to guys? Just not super fat people. Honestly, that's it. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to be ableist, but I don't really have a type. I don't really hook up with many guys. It's been a long time since I did last. Guys suck at on fucking Grindr too. You can like take all this effort, dude. Like fucking like. To be fair, girls suck too. So if I had more experience with guys, maybe it'd be different. I don't know where my Grindr bros are at, or if girls are in chat. But like, you can type out like this huge fucking sexy message to a guy, and he'll respond with like you'll do like 2 or 3 or 4 lines, and the guy will be like, "Cool, want to come to my place, suck my dick?" ? And it's like, what? Really? Or like you'll type out like some long tried shit, and the guy will be like, "Yes," and he won't even put like a smiley face at the end for me. Like, what the fuck? Fuck that shit. That's probably my number one trigger when it comes to trying to like talk sexual with guys or whatever. And it's like, this might sound dumb, but I think that like, I don't know if this is true all the time. I hate sexting. It's so shit. Yeah, not everybody does, but I feel like sexting is like a really good indicator into whether or not somebody will be good in bed or not. Like in my opinion, like being good in bed is just a sign that you can like empathize with how another person feels. So like if I'm doing something to you, does it feel good? This actually might be one of the reasons why I like sex so much. This sounds like super unhealthy, but maybe one of the reasons I like it is because it's one of the few times in my life where I feel like another person is like taking care of me in a way that's like totally selfless. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I like sex. But like I feel like in sex, like it's a good indication of like, this is like an interaction that you're having with somebody. Can you understand like what their body is feeling right now? And can you do things in response to that? And like sexting is oftentimes like that as well. Like sometimes when you sex with somebody, sometimes they're like really responsive, or they like ask questions like related to what you like, or they do things like in response, like they're like very responsive. It's like, oh, I bet this person is somebody that's like really good in bed. Like I can tell. And then another time, like somebody will like not be responsive at all, or they're just like, they don't really say much, or like they're only like fixated on themselves. And you're like, oh, like this person probably, yeah, like is pretty selfish in bed. And usually when I followed those out to like how they end up in bed, usually it holds to be like fairly true. Like usually it's like pretty accurate. But yeah, I don't know. That's probably not always true. I mean, I've met people that I thought were really good in bed that didn't like sexting at all. So I mean, like, yeah, like Melina doesn't like sexting at all, like not generally. But I feel like we like click pretty well sexually. What do you think about moaning? If you're a guy, you should make more noises. That's like universally true. Every single girl I've ever talked to appreciates that. And that's the number one complaint. Like, there's another, like, man, dude, you other guys make it so easy for people like me who are like, I think I'm like decently average in terms of how I look, but there are like really easy things that you can do in bed that other girls love you for. Super easy thing is if you're a guy, especially if a girl's like riding you or blowing you, like make a little bit of noise, like moan, tell her it feels good. You instantly have a leg up apparently on like 90% of guys out there. Like just don't make any fucking noise at all. And generally like girls hate that. And like if you empathize with, like I feel the same way. Like sometimes like if you're going down on a girl, like you can start like finger blasting the fuck out of a girl and she'll just be like laying there. And like maybe like you stop and you're like, hey, like how are you feeling about it? And they're like, oh, it felt really good, like keep going. It's like, oh, well, I don't fucking know. It's not like I've got a fucking printout from your asshole telling me that like this feels good. Like I need some sort of fucking response here. Like what, like yeah, like yeah. So yeah, noise is always good. Something that bothers me in porn is that the guy's a fucking mime. Sure, some guys have usually, some guys are very weird. I could bring up examples on stream because I have some videos saved that where the guy is like, but I mean, like any type of noise is probably okay in real life. I say that with a caveat, but how awkward is it when the other person has their eyes closed during sex? It happened to me 2 times. Ooh, that's something that I'm super torn on. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm generally like an eyes closed person. Sometimes they're open a little bit, but I think it's really awkward to like stare at somebody while they're fucking you. That's just, maybe that's like an eye contact problem I have. Like normally I can maintain eye contact with people I talk, but like when somebody's like on you, you're like, I don't know, dude. That's like, it's really hard for me to do that. I don't mind like looking at their body or looking around at stuff. Is okay, but then sometimes you feel like you're I don't know. That's a lot for me to handle. Okay. Your take on socks? Wearing socks while fucking is weird. I had an I'm not gonna say who, but I had an interaction with a girl. I don't know if she had like a secret massive foot fetish or what, but she was ultra weird about socks. Like if she came out of the shower and we were about to like have sex, she'd be like, hold on, like I need to put socks on. Like I don't want you to like see my feet at all. And I'm like, that's like really strange. Like I've seen, like there are people that are like that, and I know that Trainwreck says weird shit about that too. That's, I don't know, like some people are totally V is like really chill about most things, but like yeah, like some people are like really weird about that. I don't know. But like the funny thing is I usually hear the opposite from like, or at least when I was growing up, at least I used to hear more that girls would complain about guys that would fuck with all their clothes off except for like ankle high socks or whatever, and it would just look like really weird when guys would fuck like that. I don't know, you look like an alien kind of, but I don't know, maybe. Tips on Skype sex? I don't know, dude. I don't do video sex. Is really awkward for me. So, okay, Miasma's asked him, what's your craziest Catholic school story? I don't have any crazy Catholic school stories. There's not like anything super crazy there. How do you deal with liking someone who doesn't like you back? Move on, broski. You're fucked. If there's one life lesson that I've learned, it's that dealing with things like rejection, there is literally only one thing that helps with any of that. There's no coping mechanism. There's nothing else you can do. The only thing that helps is putting time between you and the interaction you've had with that other person. That's the only thing that'll help. It feels impossible at the time. Like, it feels like it sucks in the beginning, but like every day will hurt a little bit less. It'll peak like a week in. No, not even. It'll peak like 2 or 3 or 4 days in, where you're like, oh God, I just want to send them a message. I just want to see how they're doing. Maybe we can just be friends. A week after, you'll be like, it sucks. 2 weeks, it'll be like, yeah, it's still pretty shit. 3 or 4 weeks will go by and it's like, yeah, it's kind of shit. I can't believe I felt that bad about it. And then a couple months, depending on how much you like the person, it'll either be a dull ache, it'll go away forever, or it'll be a scar you carry with you for the rest of your life, depending on how you felt about them, I guess. Do you ever get ideas from dreams, like compositions or solutions to life problems? Recently, over the past few months, I've had some pretty crazy dreams that have challenged some of my beliefs. I think I've had 2 dreams like that I've talked about on stream. 3 dreams, I guess, but I've talked about all of them before. One was the water city, the other was the schizophrenic guy, and then the other was like the killing somebody in Call of Duty and waking up with sleep paralysis. What happened with the water city? I mean, I do this, and you guys have got me doing this in real life, okay? Where I'll tell close friends the same story over and over again. And I don't know if they just think I'm crazy, because I verified one of these people. I was like, do I ever tell you the same story a lot? And they're like, yeah, you've told me this story like 3 times. I'm like, oh, fuck, because I'm so used to doing it on stream. I can go over these again, but I don't know how many people have heard these versus how many haven't. I know that there are like new viewers sometimes. All right, color me rerun Andy. We're entering our 46th loop. What? Oh, the three weirdest dreams I've had. Oh, the first dream. In the first dream, I was part of an. Okay, so there were like storms that ravaged these cities, I guess, or every city. We lived in like New York City, or I guess it was some city with a lot of skyscrapers, and there were different like tribes of people that lived in every building, and you can't go outside because all of the whole city is flooded, and it's like stormy and dark outside perpetually, but people live in these buildings. And what happens is that like every week or every day or every year or something, the water would rise a little bit, and like as the water rose, you would have less resources because you'd have less floors to like farm and do stuff in the building, and so some people would need to die. So I was part of the group of people that was tasked with helping all of us move upstairs. So what would happen is we would get an order. Every single time the water levels were to rise, we would have to go downstairs and kill like 10% of the people that were left so that there'd be enough for everybody like going up floors. And I remember that like ideologically, this seemed like incredibly immoral to me. And I remember asking like I don't know if he was the leader of a group of people, I was like, hey, like this is like really fucked up. Like, why are we killing these people? And then the guy posed the question to me. He's like, well, what's wrong with killing them in their sleep? The water could rise. We'll have them starve later or drown. But if we kill them in their sleep, they basically never know what's even happening, right? We kill them instantaneously. They don't feel any pain. They're sleeping anyway. Like, it's not like they're going to know when they're sleeping if they wake up or not. And I didn't have an argument for him when I responded to that. It was really hard for me to respond to that. And when I woke up, it like hardcore made me reconsider my position on pro-life. That like if somebody's not having a conscious experience, it's hard to say whether or not ending the next one is good or bad. So like for a fetus that doesn't have a conscious experience yet, Like, well, who cares if you're aborted? It's not like it doesn't know one way or another. Like, even if it was a human, it wouldn't know. But it also means maybe you could kill sleeping people too. That's a really, really, really hard one. That made me like dramatically reconsider my view on abortion. And now I fall like 48-52. Like, I fall on the side of being like pro-choice at the moment because of that, as weird as that was. The second one, I think I had this one a little bit after my second accidental ego death. And I started to have like, just because those experiences are so like mentally altering. The second dream that I had was I was like a schizophrenic person. No, not schizophrenic. I had DID, dissociative identity disorder would be what it would be called. I had multiple personalities. But I knew I was crazy, okay? So I was aware that I had like 3 or 4 different lives, and I managed them all. Like, I had different outfits for each of my personalities. Like, I had different jobs for each of my personalities, and like, it was okay. So like in one personality, like I went to a store and I worked as like a gas station, or it might have been a record store or a gas station owner. In another store, or in another personality, I worked at another store. It was like a record store, gas station. In the third personality, I researched bees, I think, for like, that infected people's homes or that like infested people's homes. I think something like that. I was like a biologist researcher, something weird. I don't remember. It was really weird. But but I was totally aware that I was fucking crazy. I knew that I had multiple personalities. But like, I managed it well. Like, okay, cool. Like, I have multiple personalities. Like, I just need to make sure that like for tomorrow, the bee guy has his research ready, and that would be okay. And I'd be totally into multiple different personalities every day. Each of my 3 personalities fell in love with a different girl that came into the areas that I worked. And the weird thing was that the girls that were into me were into different personalities than the ones that fell in love with them. So for instance, like when I was like the music shop like employee, I super fell in love with like this alt scene girl. This is like the one that I remember the most. And she was super not into me. She blew me off. She said I was a fucking loser for working at a store, that I was like, whatever, super asshole, really bitchy, really fucking rude to me. But on the personality day where I was the bee researcher, if I was like hanging out in that music store, the alt scene girl was super into me. She's like, oh my God, like growing up, I loved bees. I think it's so cool what you're doing. And I would like talk to her, but like, I didn't have a huge crush on that girl, like as that personality. Like I just didn't, I don't know. I just didn't feel anything for her. And I remember at the end of this dream, it was when I was in the gas station persona and I interacted with that girl again, because I think she came into a gas station. She treated me like shit there too. I remember thinking that I thought it was really funny that I had multiple personalities and I interact so differently on every day with everybody because of my different personalities, and I was crazy. But every single girl that I had a crush on was the exact same way because they had totally different personalities depending on who they were interacting with. But I was the one that was crazy, and all of them were considered like perfectly sane. And that was like a really weird thought. I don't know why. This was like a really weird dream, and I woke up like taking that away from me. And I just thought it was like a really, I don't know if there's like, I don't know if necessarily there's anything like profound there. But I just remember that like really irritated me in the dream, where I thought I was the crazy person, but all of these people are so different depending on who they're interacting with. It was like really fucking weird. And then the third weird dream that I have, I've been talking with Dan, I think, and somebody else, where I memed a lot about sleep paralysis. And I don't remember, this was like a normaler dream, way shorter. I was just running around the superstore killing people, and I remember that I shot some dude completely dead. I blew his head up completely, and all he had left was like his fucking like the base of his like brain stem. And all I remember thinking was that oh yeah, an Aristo, yeah. And all I remember thinking was like, man, I just blew this whole dude's fucking head up except for this little part of his brain. I wonder what his conscious experience is like right now. I wonder what it would be like to feel that. And as soon as I thought that, I woke up, but I woke up and I had sleep paralysis, and it was the scariest thing in my life. Not as scary as the mushroom trip, but it was super scary to experience it. It was very, very short, probably like 3 seconds, but I thought I was dead. And the scariest part was I always figured like if I had sleep paralysis, at least I could see what was going on, but my eyes were closed and I couldn't open them. So I woke up, but I couldn't move my body at all. And I had the experience of like, holy shit, I feel like I'm kind of like on my shroom ego death where I'm totally disconnected from my body. And then I started to like hyperventilate super hard. But after like 2 or 3 seconds, like I woke up and I could move. And it was like, oh my God, it was so fucking terrifying. That's the only time I've ever had sleep paralysis, literally my entire fucking life though. And it's never happened before. Have you ever slipped when you're about to fall asleep? Yes. Any girl that I've ever been with ever can tell you that as soon as I start to fall asleep, they can usually tell because sometimes my body will like jolt a little. I guess. I don't remember it all the time, but apparently that happens. It's like super common where like I'll like shake or whatever, like I'm about to fall asleep. I'm not usually aware of it, but I've heard people tell me that before, so I'm assuming it happens a lot. Yeah. It feels like you're falling, but then you're just like, yeah, it happens. So, very rarely I'll like wake up from like I'm almost about to fall into a deep sleep. The hardest thing that I get is everything ties back to my shroom experience, which I hate because it poisons a lot of our thoughts. The hardest thing, have you ever tried to like audit your thoughts or to be aware of yourself as you fall asleep? If you try really hard to do it, it's really hard to do it and you can't do it. And it's so fucking frustrating. Like as you're falling asleep, the whole time you're thinking like, okay, I'm aware of my thoughts. We're going to watch ourselves fall asleep. But then eventually, like, you'll notice that, like, you're off into some shit. And you're moving through, like, I don't know if I would say, like, states of awareness or something. Or, like, your conscious experience is different shit. And then eventually you, like, come back. And then it's like, oh, and then you're like, fuck, I'm awake. Fuck, what happened? Where did it go? And you, like, completely lose it. It's like, fuck. Because I don't think you can, like, be aware of your whole self moving into sleep. But that's, like, really, it's, like, really frustrating. Yeah. Dan's worried to look up what sleep paralysis is because apparently that can possibly induce it or something. That wouldn't be surprising to me. I hate it, but sometimes I get anxiety now. And I kind of wonder if the only reason I get it is because I had it for a little bit after shrooms. And anxiety sucks. They're actually having my little bouts with like mental illness has caused two dramatic shifts in my thinking. One is sometimes when I listen to people talk about mental illness, I don't know if my experiences are very unique with it, or I don't know if people have no fucking idea what the fuck they're talking about. It is absolutely insane to me. Like, anxiety is a really good example. And I want to be very careful when I talk about this. This might not be like maybe my experience is different. Maybe it's not anxiety. Maybe it's whatever. But like we listened to that meme song, that Alan Watts song, where it's like, sometimes we worry about, hold on. Can we?
Inside your head.
I think he does in this song, doesn't he? Is it on Overthinker?
I am worried.
Oh no, it's this. It is this. I was right. I hear descriptions like these given pretty often. 1 second.
And then you think, can I observe the thinker?
Not this part.
Thinking the thoughts.
Okay, and then.
So, I am worried. And I ought not to worry, but because I can't stop worrying, I'm worried because I worry. And you see where that could lead to. That is what we call anxiety.
Like, I hear like a lot of weird, or I don't want to say weird, but I hear like a lot of descriptions like this, like, oh, like anxiety is where like you feel like super stressed out about everything that happens during the day, or like, oh my God, like anxiety is like, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like my experience with anxiety, and again, I want to be so careful to say that like this might not be everybody's experience, but like my experience with anxiety is that for some reason, on some days, I just feel like I have like a pressure in my chest that comes from nowhere. And it is always there, and it won't go away, and it makes me on edge about a lot of things. And it's not like I'm thinking about being anxious, and I'm worried about, it's nothing. There's no thought at all. My day could be going perfectly well, not a horrible thing has happened, nothing is going on, but for some reason, I just like, I have like like it feels like somebody has like their hand on my back, and somebody's just like pushing into my chest, and I get that feeling every now and then. And I feel like if there are if there's something causing it, it's like a sub. I don't want to say subconscious. It's such a memey word, but there must be like a pattern of thoughts that aren't immediately obvious. Like I don't think it for me. It's not just because like I'm worried about something or because I'm like anxious about something. Like I wish it was. I wish it was that. Because then it'd be so much easier to deal with. Same thing with like when I get into like disassociative, or same thing when I worry about panic attacks. And again, I worry that this only happened because I've had them. So now I know what it feels like when one might be coming on. Like nothing sets off a panic attack for me. It could be totally fucking random. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit, wait, what was that? Oh fuck, wait, is that a panic attack coming? Like, oh shit, I don't know. Wait, oh no, it is. Hold on. Oh shit. And it's like out of nowhere. But it's not usually in response to something. It'll just be like a thing. I don't know, it's so annoying. The only thing that's ever helped me for stuff like that, I'm giving this one tip because I've heard it given before and it worked for me. I don't know why. Some people say like control your breathing or whatever. None of that helps. If I'm starting to have a panic attack, I tried that the last time I did weed. If I start to have a panic attack and I try to control my breathing, I go into one because I like if I try to control it, I feel like, oh fuck, I'm not getting enough. I'm not controlling it well enough. Usually what works for me is you find a spot on the wall and you just stare at it. And that it actually super fucking grounds me out. I don't know why. If I just like, it can be nothing. It just spun on the wall, just like, okay. And it super duper duper grounds me out. I don't know why. Yeah. I read that sleeping on your back increases chance of sleep paralysis. Works for me, kind of fun. Oh, that's interesting. When I had sleep paralysis, I was sleeping on my back. I think I also had just taken a nap too. It was like a 2 or 3 hour nap. But yeah, I don't know. Weird. Is that a panic attack? Maybe you think it's one, but it's something else, Destiny. Oh, it's possible. I mean, you never really know if it's a panic attack if it doesn't happen, right? Yeah, that's true. Maybe it's not. Do you remember more of your dreams when you sleep less? I don't know anything about that shit. I don't know what causes it. Sometimes I'll take like a 25-minute nap, and in that 25-minute nap, I'll have a really vibrant dream, like really vivid. Like I'll remember it like 25 minutes. I didn't even think that was possible. I don't know. Have you ever had a nightmare and tried to kill yourself when you realize you're in one? It sounds like so memey, but like most of my dreaming is generally lucid dreaming. And usually if I want to wake up, usually I can just wake up. Like sometimes dreams are like so fucked that I realize I can't do anything to get out of it and I'm not enjoying it. And I'll be like, yeah, this is dumb. Like I'm waking up now. Like, bro, this shit is fucked. Honest to God, the idea of being trapped in dreams, like when people say like they can't lucid dream, that sounds fucking horrifying to me. For whatever reason, I'm pretty sure I've always lucid dreamed, or the majority of the time I do. The idea of being like trapped in a horrific experience sounds so bad. I don't know, dude. That sounds like some fuck shit. Oh my God. What is your experience with disassociation? Every time I have a bad panic attack, after that, I get either incredibly derealized or incredibly disassociated or incredibly depersonalized, whichever one of those words you want to use. But I think it all ties back into my mushroom shit. Basically, the idea is that after things happen, I get like a very eerie feeling that everything around me is not real and that I exist. Whatever space I exist in is the only space that exists in the world, and everything in my life is like a fabrication or whatever. It's very weird to explain and very stupid, but I'm pretty sure it's like flashback to mushroom trip shit. Do you feel like your ability to lucid dream takes away from the possible meaning of your dreams? It's possible. In other ways, maybe that some meaning still exists. So for instance, somebody brought this meme thing up. I have a lot of dreams about sex, which is cool, I thought. And then somebody brought up that like, oh man, dude, like I dream about sex, but I never actually get to have it in my dreams. Like something always stops me. And I actually thought back, and actually that is 100% true. I've actually never, ever, ever fucked somebody, eaten somebody out, gotten a blowjob, or ever in any sex dream ever. There have been a lot of dreams where I've gotten really close, but every single time something comes up to interrupt it or stop it. That's really weird. Maybe that means something. I don't know. But like, Yeah, that's like really, really, really weird. I'm like a dream virgin. Yeah. Any dream virgins out there? I've also never had a wet dream in my entire life either, which is really weird too. A lot of people describe anxiety like that, but I feel that mine has to do with certain actions that I'm afraid will fuck up, like ultra doubt that literally stops me from doing whatever it is, like talking to a cashier or calling my parents on the phone. It really sucks for the last one because it can take me weeks to do my own. Yeah, that sucks, my dude. I feel like having more... Man, dude. I feel like I know I've talked about this before. Whatever. One of the things that has scared me the most about like the about like mental illness related stuff is that like my experience in life is that if this is the content of our psyche, this is if all of this is our psyche, this is like our conscious experience, and then this is like the subconscious or unconscious experience that plays into it. So this might be like hormones or like lack of sleep or some dumb shit like that. I don't know. And I always figure that like sometimes this shit can fuck you up, and you have to like you have to like work, like you got to do this hard to like stop this shit from fucking you up, okay? Because it will if you're not careful. But it is not. I don't think that's my experience now. Now my experience feels more like this. Like what it actually feels like is this is whatever the fuck is going on underneath, and here is like what you can think about. I think I've said this before on stream. I would consider myself to be the most confident person that I know. Sounds like I'm bragging. Whatever, I don't give a fuck. I legitimately am a very confident person, and it comes off to most people I talk to. And I don't think like a super ego heavy way. Like I'm just a relatively confident person. I think not relatively. I'm very confident. That being said, I had like 2 to 3 days where I tried to look up the symptoms afterwards, but it would be what I would best describe as a GAD, a general anxiety disorder. So it was like extreme feelings of like despair and self-doubt coupled with extreme feelings of realization. I don't know how to put this into words. You know how like when you learn about like space-time, how 3 dimensions of space are like placed onto one plane, and space-time is like the curvature of that space, and you can kind of think about it mentally, but you never really see it or whatever. For me, like for my limited experiences of like GAD, I think what it felt like was that like all of humanity exists on some layer, and you are at the bottom of a hole, and the rest of humanity is just like totally inaccessible. You can't, like, they can't hear you. They can't, like, some of them can, like, look down at you and kind of feel bad for you, but you are totally and completely cut off from everybody else. Nobody can help you out. Nobody really understands, like, what the fuck you're feeling, and everybody else is just, like, going on like, a totally different, like, level of existence, and you are just stuck down here, and it is so fucking horrible. I remember that, like, literally, and I don't know why this lasted for like 2 to 3 days for me. But like the impression is that like you like, in my state of mind now, I'd be like, well, you can think your way out of it, do positive things. But the problem is that like at the time you're kind of like robbed of your agency. So for me, like now, like what I would say is that like, oh, well, like if you're like feeling depressed, if you have like problems with motivation or whatever, like just get out, go do some work, and like eventually like you'll turn around. But like the question like that I would have in this state is like, well, why would I bother? Like, well, don't you want to be happy? Like, not really. Like, why would I even care? Like, it's not even possible, and I know it's not. Like, no. Like, why would I want to be happy? Why would I want to go out? Why would I want to do anything? And it's like the idea that like, I remember in this time, I'm sure it's on my old phone. Like I started sending texts to Rachel saying like, hey, like I'm going to sign over Nathan to you. Like I'm a horrible influence in everybody's life. Like I shouldn't interact with you guys at all. Like blah, blah, blah. Like I was in like, it was an impossibly horrible state. Like I can't believe how fucked my mind was. And it's like this idea that like the scary thing is that every thought that you have up here, it comes through this filter first. Like it's filtered through this. So like your own mind is like poisoning your thoughts before you even get to perceive them. Like, it would be like trying to like, it's like trying to sweep the floor of like a mess, and like every broom you're given is like already like soaking wet, so it like doesn't work or something. I don't know, like it's hard to explain that thought of like there is something deeper inside your mind that like every time you get a thought, like it's already poisoned before you can even process it. Yeah, and it's really shit. I don't have any of these problems now, thank God. What caused him to think like this? I really don't know. That's like the scary thing, is that like nothing like brought this on. Well, I think it was my first really big shroom trip. Like it happened like 6 months after, where I started to run through a couple of these like really weird psychological things. And then one day it just went away. I don't know why. It only lasted literally for like 2 or 3 days. If I could tell you how to solve it, I don't know. I do know that like, I've said this before. I do know that during this time, I completely changed my stance on like psychiatric drugs. Before I would always say that like, oh, like SSRIs, like, well, the research says they're good, blah, 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 blah. If I ever had to take a fucking pill, I would never fucking do it. I'm never going to change who I am or take a psychiatric fucking pill to reprogram my mind. I just won't do it. Now, other people should, but me, I'm not going to. But being in this state, I would have taken I would have electroshocked myself out of this shit. 100% without a second fucking thought. If you would have offered me a pill, a shot, anything, I would do anything to get out of this, like a million times over. So I'm a lot more sympathetic now towards like people that have those problems, and towards like psychopharmaceutical treatment. Psychopharmaceutical, I think is the word, right? Have you ever experienced derealization of something similar, where nothing feels real and kind of feels like a dream? Yes. I think that like this is something that I figured out about myself, and I've done this through 2 really big mushroom trips. I hate to say that because it feels like drugs taught me something, which I don't ever like to admit, but it might be true. My biggest fear about everything not being real, and maybe some of you, if you think deeper, maybe this will be the reason why you have the same thing. My biggest fear about everything being real or unreal, is that if everything is fake, that means that it's a projection from either my mind or somebody else's mind. But the scariest thing is that if that's true, then none of the people that I'm interacting with are actually other independent people. And that's a reality that I'm not capable of living with. So I realized, like, by extension of that the most important thing in my life, even if my relationships are relatively limited, are having some sorts of interactions with other real life people that are choosing to interact with me. Yeah, that's something that I kind of like. But then the downside of that is that I have like massive fucking death anxiety now, but. Do you think being a streamer, constantly interacting with thousands of people on a daily basis you know nothing about, might be behind some of these mental issues? No, I think probably more than mushrooms. I think. Why do you think that fake reality is a bad thing? At the end of the day, isn't it still your reality? Did you listen to anything I just said? Do you ever have panic attacks where you think you're about to die in the next moment? My first one was like that. Holy shit. But then my subsequent ones, I don't know, what does it feel like? It's just, the only way I can describe it, and I'm going to use a word, but like, if you've never, the biggest problem that I have when describing the feeling that I have with panic attacks is the most likely thing you are to relate it to is usually adrenaline related stuff. But for me, adrenaline is exciting. Like, I want to do something. If like a truck is going to merge into me and I'm about to die, like, that is a feeling of excitement. Not necessarily good or bad, but just like, holy shit, like, I'm fucking wired and I'm fucking ready to go. Holy shit. Like, that's usually like what an adrenaline feeling is to me. But for me, like, a panic attack has nothing to do with that. A panic attack is the phrase that I've read that I would use is like an impending sense, or a sense of impending certain doom. Like, that's it. Like, it's not like an exciting thing you're going to take an action against. It's just like the absolute 100% knowledge that you are about to be fucking dead, and there's nothing to do about it. And you're not excited or ready to do anything. You're just having a panic attack. Yeah, I don't know. It's, that's how I feel about it. But, yeah. Can you explain your death anxiety? Do you feel sad or worried to go? I don't even know how to begin. I guess like the scary thing about death anxiety is I'm about to bring up a lot of like weird, like immaterial things that I didn't previously believe in, is that so man, wow, a lot of this is going to sound like a lot of spiritual mumbo jumbo that I would have thought was really stupid a few years ago. So bear with me. I don't know how likely it is that our conscious experiences are tied to our body in ways that are like completely material, and when we die we're gone. But that's just because I literally can't even conceive of that, right? We can't. What is like to conceive about being in a state where you can't conceive of anything is really hard. Like, what does it feel like to be asleep? I don't know. What does it feel like to be dead? I guess that times infinity. But I don't even know what that feeling is, and I don't even know what infinity is. But those two things combined are what like death is. So it's like it's really hard to imagine what death is like. And then there are also like there's a lot of scary possibilities behind that like could be really shit. So for instance, this conscious experience could be an experience that you're having from another world where you're plugged into a machine. Maybe the reason why you have that experience is because that world fucking sucks. And then when this life ends, you're going to wake up from a dream in another world and you're like, oh fuck, like I'm back here and everything that I had that was good, that I loved, that was precious to me in that other world is like totally fake. Fuck. That would be a really shitty feeling. The idea that you could be unplugged from your conscious experience and then you would just float in a void into perpetuity, that would be the rest of your existence, like an infinite amount of time, an infinite stretch of time floating as nothing, no eyes, no ears, no taste, like is a very like unsettling feeling as well. And if that was the reality after our lives, we wouldn't know it. We'd have no way of knowing it. Yeah, I don't know. Like those are things that I guess I like. These are really stupid thoughts. They're not like very logical or reasonable, but they're like now they bother me a lot when I think about it. Ugh. You're worried about the unimaginable. Just be happy that you are a real person, that you are happy. Not many get that. I mean, that's an easy thing to say, my dude, of course. How do you feel God? I don't feel God or anything like that at all. Do you ever get accused of asking too many questions when trying to understand someone's thought process? I always get accused of being disrespectful for questioning my dad when I ask to do stuff. I try to understand why he asks it done this way. It annoys me. For parents, if they don't want you to ask questions, it's usually because they're immature and they just want you to unquestionably follow their authority. They're asshole parents. Do you think guilt could weigh on you in any way? This is how most of my anxiety manifests. No, I usually try to think of like, I think if you've wronged people in the past, I think if you've exhibited certain behavior that's really shitty, the best thing you can try to do is like change it up and move on. Like I think that like, I think in my early 20s, I think I was intentionally manipulative of a lot of people that I talked to. And then I think in my mid 20s, I was accidentally manipulative to people I talked to. And now I try to be like super open and blunt and aware of like how I interact with people so that I don't like mislead people or lead people on or like do shit like that. Like I try to be like pretty good in most of my interactions. And I think like that's important. Like if you feel like you've interacted poorly with people in the past, like instead of like don't feel guilty about it, like just learn a lesson and try to like change how you interact with people moving on. I think that's important. The fact that your name is Destiny has fucked me up when I'm having solipsistic thoughts. Yeah, me too, bud. Have you ever fallen asleep on stream? I don't think so. I think I might have one time. I think it was around the time I was casting my Destiny tournament. I think I was up late. I don't even remember why, what was going on in my life, but I was super stressed in that time period. And then, yeah, I think, or no, it was, I don't think it was that. I think I was supposed to cast a tournament with Sheth or something, and I almost slept through it. Something like that. You ever give thoughts on In Control's death? Yeah, In Control's death was really shit. What a shit way to die. He turned his life around so much, and then he got Game of Thrones. Like, yeah. Have you ever had someone close to you lose themselves to a mental illness? Arguably one person that I've interacted with now, I suspect highly of that happening. And then my mom has Alzheimer's. I don't know how that's going to affect me as that progresses. But, yeah, I don't know. Otherwise, I mean, like, I've dealt with people with, like, depression and stuff. I can only deal with so much of that. Like, I have my personal limits, but... I really feel like your 20s are a lot more formative and change you as a person a lot more than teenage years. Did you have a similar experience? Yeah, I mean, I think I'm constantly changing. I mean, just like, I don't know. Like, be aware of what's happening in your life. If you have bad outcomes, if you're having bad outcomes in life, like, you should reflect on situations and find out if you can do something different. When it comes to like my political views, I'm very left-leaning, very liberal, very progressive, very sock dem. When it comes to like my personal advice views, like personal things that I tell to personal people or personal ways that I live my personal life, I'm very much a like, you have to own everything in your life and you've got to deal with it and nobody's going to help you with anything. Like, you have to take ownership of every single thing that you have and you have to exert whatever amount of influence you can over it because nobody's going to do anything for you. I'm a really narcissistic person though. Like, a lot of you guys probably have like good families that'll help you with shit, or friend groups or whatever, they're going to be shit, but like, yeah. But for the most part, like, you be self-sufficient as much as you can be. Maybe, or maybe not. Maybe it's good to have support groups, I don't know. Said V guy, I see what you're saying, I love you, but I don't want to argue about conscious experience right now. Do you ever have the anxiety that you have a set of behaviors that you'll come to regret later down the road, or do you try not to pay mind to that possibility? No, I always try to be mindful of like behaviors that I'm crafting that could influence me in the future. That's why I try to ADS more instead of like hip firing. Is there anything you've said to a person that you wish you could take back? That's a hard one. I mean, like, I've made mistakes in my life, but I think I've learned a lot from them. So, like, I mean, there are some mean things or bad things I've said to people that I wish I wouldn't have, but I mean, I don't know. It's kind of a weird way to look at things. Have you ever had periods in your life where you felt like you lived in extreme constant discomfort? Not really, no. Sometimes when I have certain fights with certain communities, I'll go through like weeks sometimes of like being on like an edge, being like a little bit of tension, but not like, generally I'm a pretty happy, content person when I wake up usually. How much would you say streaming affects your mood? I don't know. I think it's had a pretty positive impact on my mood. I usually like streaming. I usually like it a lot, so. How do you categorize the stages in your life? Do you contextualize it in any sort of pseudo-narrative at all? Probably like streaming and non-streaming, I guess. That's been like a pretty big differentiating point in my life. But like a lot of things lined up with that. Like moving a lot, having a kid, new relationships, like a lot of stuff changed in my life around that point, I would say. Going from, I would say pre and post parents being like upper middle class to being financially destitute changed my outlook on a lot of things. Pre and post my parents living with me versus living with my grandma, and then pre and post living on my own, and then pre and post casino, or like these would be like the major arcs, periods of my life, and then streaming onward, I think. What are the thought processes, like patterns you go through to fall asleep so easily? I wish I could tell you. I don't know. Like right now, I'm pretty tired. If I were to go and lay down in my bed, I'd fall asleep in like 4 or 5 minutes. As long as I'm not on my fucking phone. Do you ever look back on past relationships? Yeah, all the time. Yeah. Steven, there's a note from the outside world. Nice, good meme, dude. Hey, trying to wake up from a coma. Good meme, dude. Would you consider getting a tattoo? Nope. I don't know if you ever did a sleep stream. Would you be worried about saying slurs while dreaming? Not really. It's actually like I very, very, very rarely do. Like, people assume that I say like slurs all the fucking time off stream. I don't. It's actually like super rare. I don't know. How did I end up cleaning carpets? Good meme. Apparently I can carry conversations while I sleep. Maybe that's the next big thing. Oh, I do that so much. I have to warn every person that I'm with about that. If I am asleep and you try to get me to do something or wake me up, I will say or do like 12,000 IQ, whatever the fuck I need to go back to sleep. Like, you could come in and be like, hey, like, are we going to go somewhere today? And I'm like, I don't know. Where do you want to go? And I won't even know. I'm like, oh, well, we were going to go. I was like, don't we have to do that first? I'm like, yeah. It's like, okay, we can go after. Well, how are we going to get there? Oh, we'll fucking call an Uber from that Uber place. And then we'll go after that. We can come. We'll be there for 2 hours. Oh, okay. And I'll like wake up like 3 hours later and they'll be like, hey, you said we were going to whatever. And I'm like, no, the fuck I didn't. I'm not going to fucking shit. What the fuck? I didn't agree to that bullshit. Like, what are you talking about? You explicitly said we were going. You gave me the fucking time. I was like, I don't remember saying shit to you, motherfucker. Get the fuck out of my face. You literally said, like, I don't remember shit. I have to tell it to every person, like, because I've had legitimate fights before with multiple girlfriends that get very upset that apparently they got me to agree to a whole bunch of shit. And I'll be like, listen, you can't say shit to me when I'm fucking sleeping because I will say whatever the fuck I need to say to get back to sleep. So if you ask me any fucking question, I'm going to respond in whatever fucking way. And it's going to be bullshit, okay? You can't hold me accountable for that shit, all right? Fuck you. It's not fucking fair. And you have to, if you truly want me to be awake, you have to go really hard. Like, you would have to get me to wake up, get me to walk out of bed and like walk to another room. Then you can leave me alone, okay? But like, if you get in bed with me and I hug you and blah, 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 or if you like get me to like sit up for a minute, that doesn't mean shit. I could be completely fucking asleep still, or I won't remember shit. And then as soon as you walk, like and I remember like I could even do that. I'd be like, okay, let me pick my phone up so this bitch leaves me alone. Like, oh yeah, are you awake, Steven? Yeah, I'm getting up in like 5 minutes. I'm just going to check my emails. Like, oh, okay, yeah. Hold on, I'm just responding to the sponsor. Like, okay. And then they walk out of the room and it's like absolutely back asleep again. 100%. Holy shit. Or I would tell them to do things that for some reason, for a long time, they thought might work, but I knew when. I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll wake up. Don't worry. I'm like, you're going to go back to sleep. And I'm like, no, turn on the lights. I'll be fine. I'm like, okay. And they'll turn on the lights and I'll be like, okay. Like, good night. I don't know why, dude. Rip. Have you ever wasted a day of your life on autopilot, like not really remembering anything that happened? You're just going through the motions, and an entire day or week has gone by, and you have no real concrete memory of what took place. I would say that working feels that way. Yeah, I would say that like working my jobs felt that way, especially carpet cleaning. Man, you want to know what the worst shifts are in the whole fucking world? You want to know what the worst shifts are? It's not doing a double. It's not working a 16-hour shift, okay? Because you get paid for those. The worst shifts in the world are when you get called in to work from like 1 to 5. Those 4 hours destroy my entire day. I'm not going to wake up at 8 a.m. to fucking hang out with a friend. I'm not going to go out at 10 or 11 because then I got to go into work at fucking 1 o'clock. And then by the time I'm off at 5, I got to go home, get into my work clothes, get showered and shit. And now it's like fucking 6 o'clock and it's like, fuck, like it's kind of late. Like, I don't know if I want to. Oh my God, dude. Like 1 to 5s ruin a whole day. And you only get paid for 4 fucking hours of work. 4 hours of work for your whole fucking day shot, dude. God, that's so irritating. Or like 2 to 6. Like those part-time swing shifts is like so fucked. Oh my God, dude. 3 to 11 fucking blows. 1 to 5 isn't bad. 3 to 11 is fine. 3 to 11, that's a full-time shift, and you got time to hang out like at noon. You can meet a friend at like 11, 11:30, and like hang out for like a few hours. Go home, get ready for work, 2:30, leave, and then get ready for work. 3 to 11 is like manageable, and it's a full 8-hour shift at least. Like. I brought this up on stream before, and apparently it's not as common as I thought. Did nobody else have to do fucking work study where you stay at the end of your school day for like 2 hours and you do like janitorial work to pay for your for your high school shit? Are there any other private school members that did that? Dude, that was the worst because you had to do like 200 or 300 hours of work, I think, for work study, and like you only could work 2 hours a day, so you were doing it like the whole school year. So your school day was always like 10 or 11 hours long. Because you would get into school. My school started at 7 a.m. and then I was in work study until about 5:30 p.m. every night, I think. 5 or 5:30, I think. It would depend on the day. They made you do that for high school? Yeah, because my parents were really rich when I went to high school, when I started going to high school. And then they got very not rich when well, they were never rich. They were like upper middle class, but then they quit all their work and they lost everything. And then I had to pay for my for my high school shit. How do they lose their money again? My mom was doing a daycare. Man, we're retelling all the lore. Let's refresh ourselves. So my mom did a family home daycare was the name of the business, where she had anywhere from 10 to 14 kids at a time at the house, 24/7. And one day, my parents were usually, like, my mom is like standard Hispanic, like super friendly towards everybody, loves everybody, blah, 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 like really nice. My mom had an issue where one of the kids pulled down the pants of one of the other kids or something, some stupid shit. These kids are anywhere from like infants to like 6 years old or 10 years old sometimes. 4-year-olds, 5 years, they do stupid shit sometimes. Like, this wasn't unheard of. But like, if this happens, obviously my mom has to tell, like, hey, like, tell a parent, like, hey, just so you know, one of your kids was involved with another kid where he pulled down their pants during like playtime. We can't have this. It's not good. After she told kids' parents that, those parents contacted Child Protective Services to come to my mom's house, telling them that my mom had been molesting kids or whatever. And CPS did a full investigation of everything. And obviously my parents, to my knowledge, never did anything like that. I don't think my parents were ever involved in anything like that. Everything was fine. But my mom was like so nervous after that interaction that she quit daycare completely because she was so scared of losing her kids if anything like that ever happened. But the problem was that we had no income. So everything like completely fell apart. So we got foreclosed and kicked out of a couple houses, lived with a wonderful slumlord for a while. Lived with my grandma in her retirement apartment bullshit for my last 2 years of high school. Like, yeah. Do you miss school? I miss the optimism that I had in school. I didn't realize how fucked everybody was. I thought that there were a lot of fucked people, but as you grew up, people unfucked themselves. How did your classmates treat you for work study? I don't know. I was always kind of like on my own anyway. I had like a lot of okay relationships with people. I think I was pretty funny in high school. So like I got along with most people because of that. Like I had a lot of friends that were like wrestlers and football players, and then all the kids in band, obviously. And then kids in classes. Like I got along pretty well with people because I think I was pretty funny. What year did you lose optimism? It was when I started working at McDonald's. The more contact I had with adults, the worse my opinion became of them. So McDonald's was a huge eye-opener. I've never been treated like such shit in my entire life. And then after McDonald's, working at the casino for a while, made a lot of adults I'd just be fucking embarrassed to be seen with. Disgusting fucking human beings. Scum fuck of the earth. And then working carpet cleaning was just a shit everything. Yeah. How come you aren't angry with your parents for all that you had to go through, especially your dad? I mean, like, I don't know. This seems like there's no point of being mad at your parents. I mean, like, if your parents, like, killed you or some shit or beat the shit out of you, probably. I don't think my parents were ever malicious in what they did. So it's whatever. I mean, I think that I fostered, like, a really independent mindset that's helped me a lot with streaming. I think if I was, like, a normal, well-adjusted person, I don't think I could do what I do streaming. I don't think anybody would have survived in my position doing politics. Did your sister ever pay you back your 10K? Nope. I don't lend my family any more money. My mom guilted me into doing that too. But it's whatever. She ignored me on Facebook. Rip. Whatever, dude. Have you had a high school reunion? Nah. What was the most racist, bigoted thing you'd ever seen in your real life? One time when I was at the gym, this is back when I worked out more, like in 2015 or 16, I remember. Some white guy came up to me when I was at the water fountain. And, he was at the water fountain. And as soon as he got up and left, he looked at me and he looked behind me. And there was like a black guy. To be fair, this black guy was really fucking annoying, okay? But there was this black guy and he looked at me and he was like, N-words, right? And then he left. This guy that he was talking about, oh my God. Okay. This gym had one power rack. And every Friday night, this motherfucker, this guy could squat. Yes, hard R. He hard R'd it. I was like, holy shit. This fucker could deadlift 615 pounds or some shit. He was doing like 5 or 6 plates. Like the bar was bent. He was huge. However, he would do like 1 or 2 sets of deadlifts in the power rack, okay? You don't need to deadlift in the power rack, okay? He would do 1 or 2 sets in the power rack, and he would take like 25 minutes between his fucking sets, and he would just walk around the gym talking to people. And I'm like, you can deadlift anywhere else in the gym. The gym is your canvas. Go deadlift somewhere else. That's great. You can deadlift fucking 6, 7, 8 plates. Good for you, dude. I don't give a fuck, okay? I just want to squat. I can't do it out here, okay? I'm not going to fucking power clean my fucking squats. Go the fuck out. Deadlift over there. Go in the corner. There's even a fucking barbell over there for you to do it. God, that guy is fucking annoying. Every time I walked in the gym and I saw him, it's like, oh, well, we're not doing half a workout tonight. Bye. You fucking leave. What were your biggest pet peeves in the gym? People that leave dumbbells everywhere are disgusting fucking humans. This is like a little, I don't want to say OCD because everything says that, but like people that rack their weights like in the incorrect places. Why are you hanging up your 45s with a 2.5s go? What the fuck is wrong with you? Put them where they're supposed to go. You're strong, dude. I just watched you quarter squat. Let's be real. I just watched you squat, okay? 225, okay? Good job. Or bench 225. You're strong enough to lean over and put the 45s back where they go, motherfucker, okay? You got those muscles. We all see you using them, okay? Put the fucking weights back, lazy fuck. Or people that just take all the weights and they set them on the floor. Like, you just might as well leave them on the bar at that point. Like, now it's even more work to pick this shit up. Fuck, dude. Ugh. When people drop their weights after each set, if people that deadlift, you drop it, it's fine. I don't give a fuck. That's fine. I haven't been at the gym in a while, but if you squat to failure like a sick cunt, you shouldn't be able to re-rack weights. Yeah, shut the fuck up. Even if you have to deload it at the end, you can still rack the weights, okay? Unless you're squatting to failure 25 pounds, okay? Fuck off. Shut the fuck up. Have you seen the game Satisfactory? No. Or yeah, I have. We played it a little bit, but I just didn't care that much. Fucking people that do circuits and use up like 4 spots. I never ran into those people. The only people that did like circuits usually did like the machines. There are always those people in the gym that go to every single machine and do like 5 reps at every single machine. And they do like, they've done the same weight for the past like 6 years. But hey, I mean, they're still like doing something. That's good. But like, yeah. Most people at the gym are ultra super friendly in my experience. Like a lot of people might be like intimidated, but like you could walk up to any dude benching and ask him like if like a bench is like, if all the benches saying like, hey, can I work in or whatever? Is that cool? Like, can we trade? Like most people will be cool with it. If you want somebody to spot you, unless it's for squats, usually like most people will be chill. Like most people do it like, yeah. How did you become so articulate / have high verbal intelligence? I really don't know, my dude. In some ways, this sounds so autistic. I don't mean it to sound that way. I don't know how many of these experiences are relatable. So sometimes it sounds like I'm just saying things to, I don't know, it's weird. But I feel like in a lot of ways, I have to spend a lot of time figuring out like, how do people function, and then like what do people say to make people feel certain things, because I don't necessarily have the same responses to a lot of things people say. And then as a result of like having to like learn that and like cognitively understand that, I think it like helps me like phrase things a little bit easier for people to understand. So like one of the things that I said earlier was that I'm trying to be less manipulative of people. One of the problems that I've had over the past few years is that like if I'm talking to people, especially girls, like I know that there are certain things that you can say that make people feel like really, really, really happy. And I think some of the problems that I've had, maybe even with Mimi and Melina, is that when I say certain things to people, it leads them on. Even if I explicitly say like, hey, like I'm not like super romantic, there are certain things that you can say that makes people like really, really, really like you. Now, usually like I want to say this because I want you to really like me because it makes it easier to like for us to like have fun and do things. But like now when I look at it more, I'm like, okay, well, hold on. Like maybe I'm like hijacking some shit in this conversation in a way that's like kind of irresponsible. Maybe I shouldn't say certain things because it makes people think the wrong thing or whatever. But I think that like, I don't know, maybe because a lot of these things, it feels like they don't come naturally to me. Yeah, I don't know. I think thinking about it a lot has helped me like verbalize a lot of it. Yeah. Examples. I don't think I want to give any. I'm sorry, I'm not going to. This all sounds like PUA shit. I don't really want to get into it. But there are just like, there are certain things that I think that there are certain ways that you can act towards people and certain things that you can say to make people really, really, really like you in ways that aren't fair if you don't feel that way. And I think unintentionally, I think I've done that to people quite a bit. And I try not to. I try to explicitly not do that anymore. It's something that's like really, really, really bad. Yeah, but I don't think we're gonna like get into that. Yeah, being like nice cock, bro. Do you ever hold back what you say? You said that you told Melina before, I don't know what the future will hold, or something like that. It feels like most people who react negatively being told that. Yeah, it's something I have to deal with. I don't know. Any internal monologuing going on? Do you find yourself running down convo trees in your head at all? Yeah, all the time. I have like a huge internal monologue, I think, quite often, yeah. Did you know some people are incapable of that? Yeah, we've learned this recently. It's pretty weird. Share the secret techniques. I'm going to die a virgin. Honestly, the number one technique that you can have for dealing with people is like listen to what they say and try to respond to what they say in ways that make it clear that you've heard what they've said. That's like the number one trick. It sounds really boring, but like I can tell you from the number of girls that I've interacted with that I've had really positive experiences with, most of you guys set the bar incredibly fucking low, and it's pretty fucking pathetic. So that's all I got to say. Set the bar low in what way? And then like most of you like suck at having conversations with people. Do you intentionally do the opposite in terms of like trying to have good conversations with people? Yeah, I think so. But like there's like a million different like, there are like little tricks that you can do to like have better conversations with people. We've brought up like almost all of these in the past. Like, somebody in chat can remember. I don't remember. If you want somebody to feel like they've had a good conversation with you, like ask them questions about themselves. People love talking about themselves. Every conversation is an opportunity for somebody to share information about themselves. If you ask people about their job, about what they want to do, ask them questions related to what they ask you is usually really good, or tell you. So if somebody says something like, oh, like, well, what did you want to do growing up? Like, oh, I really wanted to be like a teacher, blah, 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 blah. Instead of after that being like, oh, cool, well, what do you do now, right? If somebody says like, oh, like I wanted to be a teacher growing up, like, oh, why'd you want to be a teacher? What happened with that? And it's like, oh, blah, 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 blah. Like following like chains of conversation like that. Usually like people love doing that. People love the opportunity to explain stuff like that. And they get a feeling that you are very invested in them, very motivated in them if you're asking questions about things that they tell you, right? If we can reach a point in a conversation where I can ask you a question that nobody's asked you before about something that you've just told me, that's like a very, very good conversation in that person's mind, because now they feel like the other person is super invested in something that they're talking about with another person that they don't even know that well, right? Like you come away with like, oh wow, like I've never had such a deep conversation with anyone before. And literally it's just like, all I'm doing is listening to you, asking questions about what you're telling me. It's very fucking easy. This is something that is very, 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 very easy to do. But like, there's not like a red pill shortcut for this. Like what it is just listen to somebody, be interested in what they're saying, and ask them questions about what they're telling you because you genuinely want to know. That's the easiest way to do it. Like it's very hard to fake genuine interest. Well, no, it's not. But like you shouldn't be faking genuine interest because that's a dick move, and because you probably suck at it if you've never done it before. Like genuinely, if you just like go into it with the mindset of like, okay, I want to learn a little bit about this person. Let's go in with the idea of like, I'm going to try to learn as much as I can, right? Asking people questions about this stuff is really good. Eye contact is really important. If you're talking to people and you can never look them in the eye, I think it's bad. I don't think a lot of people realize this. It's also hard to balance it because if you stare at somebody the whole time, it's bad. But here's something that I've said before on stream. Every single person, everybody in the world has really, really, really pretty eyes. Everybody does. Whatever kind of eyes you have, they're beautiful, okay? Whether they're, even if they're brown, you know, like everybody has brown eyes or whatever, or if they're blue or green or what, or hazel or whatever, everybody's eyes are beautiful. Look at people. It means a lot. Like when you look at them, it demonstrates that you like are communicating with them. I'll give this piece of advice, even though I don't do it and I suck at this, and it's a consistent complaint that I get because I suck at this. But if you're meeting a new person, at least, I will do this with new people, do not ever, for the love of God, even if it's for a brief moment, do not ever, ever, ever look at or pick up your fucking phone. You kill any sort of chemistry or connection you have with a person. If they're in the middle of telling you something, this is what it's like, okay? You're engaged. I'm talking to you. Oh my God, you're understanding me. You're listening to me. Fuck you, you fucking cunt. I'm busy right now. I don't have time for your bullshit. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. All right, I'm done. What were you saying, you stupid fuck? That's what it feels like. It is a horrible, even if you tell them like, oh wait, you know, like, hold on, okay, all right, okay, yeah, all right, okay, yeah. Like, if you absolutely have to check your phone, wait for like a natural pause in the conversation, like, oh, blah, blah, this is what I want to do, and that's fine. Oh, okay, that's cool. I gotta check my phone for 1 second because I'm supposed to like meet a friend or my dad is dying of cancer or some shit. Like, you can do that, like, or whatever if you have to, but never in the middle of like something they're saying or whatever. Dude, oh my God, picking up your phone and looking at it is like such a horrible fucking thing to do to somebody. It is, even if they don't say it or even if they don't realize it, you are destroying your impression in their head of you. How do you deal with people who are really closed off and don't want to talk about themselves? I have never met a person like that in my entire life. Everybody that I've had a conversation with generally is willing to open up about themselves and talk about themselves. Almost everybody. I can't think of an example where somebody hasn't. Unless they like don't like me, in which case then we're not talking anyway. Another one, this is like, I always mention, I think these three. This is the eye contact thing, asking people why. And then another one that is like really, really, really good. This is called a callback for comedians. But if you can make a joke in a conversation that references a unique piece of information that somebody told you earlier in the conversation, then that's such a good, if you can incorporate prior things they've told you into the conversation, like into your current conversation, is like really, really, really positive as well. That's super impactful. It makes it feel like you've not only that you've listened to what they've said, but you've actually integrated the information. Like, that's so impactful. Yeah. Like most of these things, are usually just like, be like a decent person. Don't like stare at somebody's boobs or something. Don't get caught doing that. There's plenty of porn at home. I don't know if you guys do that, but do you feel like that works on you when people ask you questions about you and your life destiny? Yeah, usually, but it's very, very, very rare. Most of the people that I talk to don't seem to care much about me. It's very, very rare that somebody asks me a question. I usually notice it when people do it. And I mean, even I enjoy it too. Even if I know that somebody's like trying to work me over, or even if I know that like, well, I have a really good impression of this, and this is why it still feels really good. Like, I like talking about myself just as much as anybody else does. Yeah, I think Abraham Lincoln or somebody had that trick where anytime you meet somebody, try to remember one piece of information about them and bring it up the next time that you see them. If you meet somebody, especially like for a second date or third date, like if one of the things I bring up is like, oh yeah, like my little brother is like into video games or blah, blah, blah. Like maybe the next time you see her or whatever, like, oh, like, hey, what's up, blah, 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 blah. Like, oh shit, like Fallout 5 just came out or whatever. Has your brother been playing that shit a lot? You said he was into games, right? If you can like make a reference like that, that's also like a really, really, really good, like, oh, holy shit. Like you remember like specific shit I told you in my life and you're like, ask me questions about it. It's like really positive, yeah. Is there ever a good answer for something like, tell us one interesting fact about yourself? I don't know. I don't like things like that. I think it's boring. Or I don't know. I never know how to answer questions like that. Does it ever feel weird to invest a lot in a convo/relationship and you feel like that person likes you back but doesn't invest in the same amount? Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes people just suck at conversations. I've had girls that do this weird thing. It's so weird. Where like, we'll have so I'm usually really good at picking up on when somebody's interested in me versus when somebody's very not interested in me. So like, I'll have conversations with people, with girls, where like, I'll ask a question like somebody somebody will tell me like, oh yeah, like I really like this game that you like. I was like, oh cool, how do you feel about it? And they'll give me like a 3-paragraph response, like a really healthy, like, damn, okay, cool. And then like, I'll like engage back or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then eventually like, they don't respond to like the last thing that I say that was like obviously a question, and they like don't respond. And that's like really weird. It's like, oh, maybe they got busy or something. That's cool. I can wait a day or whatever. Maybe like 2 or 3 or 4 days go by and they never respond or whatever. And you're like, oh. And then I'll like send another message like, oh, hey, what's up? How you doing or whatever? Like, anything interesting? And then like, we'll have another chat and they'll give like really long responses and then they like disappear again. And it's like, oh, you get like mixed signals like that sometimes. I don't know. It's just weird sometimes. It happens. Have you ever heard of Dale Carnegie? Yeah, that's one of the few books I ever read was How to Win Friends and Influence People. What do you open with when you talk to someone for the first time? If you ask questions about people, usually there's an infinite amount of stuff to talk about. Like, oh, like, what's up? What do you do? Oh, I work at a car factory. Work at a car factory? Damn. How long? Is that what you always wanted to do? No, I really wanted to go to school to be a fucking zoologist. Why is that? I want to fuck animals. Fuck animals. Damn. How old were you when you wanted to fuck animals? I knew ever since I was 17 and I watched a Sailor Moon episode with the cat. I wanted to fuck that cat. I was like, oh, wow. You like a lot of anime? Like, you can literally, like, if you ask one question, usually you can, like, go off into whatever random fucking topic if you just, like, follow it down. Like, usually you can. Sometimes you get horny and you want to message and then you get bored and can't continue the convo. I guess. Any tips on improving your conversational speech patterns or vocal quality? I don't know. Don't interrupt people. That's important. Let people finish their thoughts. I guess. I don't know. People say, like, don't say or don't say like. In casual conversation, I don't know if that matters that much. How do you frame conversation to be romantic rather than just friendly? I usually try to breach the subject with humor, generally. But a lot of it is just, oh man, I hate this answer. In real life, a lot of it is just like fucking vibes. But that's a shit answer. I don't know. Like, there are people that I'm with that I just get like ultra fucking physical vibes from. Like, yes, like definitely. And then there are other people where it's like, nah, probably not. That's such a shit answer. I'm sorry. I feel like, I wonder if I've ever been super wrong about this. I feel like there are people, I feel like when I'm talking to a girl, I feel like that there starts to be like, oh, this sounds so lame. There are certain ways that they laugh or look at you where it's like, this person is definitely into me. I 100% can tell. I wish I could tell you how or why, but there's just like, somehow you just like know, like, you're laughing like a little bit too much, or like this, like you're giving me like these, I can definitely tell, like, I don't know, like, I don't know how to explain that though. Like, very physically engaging. Not like they're necessarily touching you, but this is one of the reasons why I got so disappointed when I argued with that Gains for God or whatever the fuck guy on that podcast who's like, oh no, like online interactions are basically like they tell you a lot about a person. Dude, I like, I've said this a million times, I'll say it again. You get 2% of a person online. Like, you miss out on so much not seeing a person in real life. Online interactions aren't real. They're barely anything. They are so not real. Like, interactions like in person, like in human, include so much more is being conveyed. It doesn't exist online. Talking to people online versus IRL, is there a difference or not? I feel like I can understand someone a lot more face to face. Yeah, for sure. Are there people you talk to online that you wouldn't hang out with in real life? I don't know. I think most people I talk to, I think I'm usually pretty chill with. Any tips on how to make big life choices? I'm trying to decide whether to continue with aerospace engineering or go into finance. I can't help you with those, my dude. I get a lot of emails asking for like big life advice like that. Like, that's, I mean, like, I might be able to help, but I would have to know so much more about you and so many more personal pieces of information. Like, holy shit, it's almost 2 a.m. I think I started really late today because I've barely been streaming 10 hours. What is something people do commonly that makes you instantly lose respect for them? The worst thing that you can ever do is to be overbearing or super clingy or really possessive. I think that those things are like huge turnoffs that will instantaneously completely shoot somebody's interest in you. You have to be super careful with that. And it's not really fair sometimes, but like 100% that will like can destroy your interest in somebody or their interest in you, is if you're like too clingy. Like if they don't, and especially if you get like rude about it too, I think it's like really bad. Explain what that looks like. So sure. So maybe somebody messages you and they're like, oh, good night, blah, 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 blah. And let's say that you fell asleep early, you forgot or whatever, and you responded. Let's say that you wake up the next morning like, oh, hey, like, how are you doing today? And the person is like, oh, so you're talking to me now. Like, especially if this is like a person you like don't know, and you're like, what? When you get like shit like that, and it's like, that like that shit like that will just like, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's kind of funny that yeah. Okay. I need to go to sleep, okay? Why? Who cares about them if they don't vote, Pixie? That's the problem that nobody understands. Nobody understands this on the left. If you don't